Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one, motherfucker, by peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
There is a crazy amount to talk about. Rare is the day that we come in here and have this much stuff that is rich in societal, interesting, and Billy Gill is in the big boy seat with Mike Ryan literally almost breathing on his neck. Jim Nantz in the crowd. Billy, is everything okay? You're not in front of the microphone right now, and I want to talk to you for a second.
I have to turn on yours and Greg's mic, so I'm putting little arrows here to make sure that I turn on the right one. There's a lot going on.
Okay.
Bridges are falling.
All right. Yes.
Thing.
Well, yes.
Wow.
So, Billy.
Not to make excuses.
No. Billy is in charge on what is, I'm going to say, a day of intersection where we have a whole lot of things happening that are, one of them is calamitous, okay? Overnight, a bridge collapsing in Baltimore when a cargo ship hits it. The video will be everywhere by the time you're listening to this. We're making a choice not to show it. Just because, and Greg Cody doesn't agree with this, and I don't blame him for not agreeing with this, just because we don't want to show death, what feels like death in real time while family members are still searching for the dead. But I don't blame you if you disagree with that and say, look, when 9/11 happened, the video of that is something that needs to be in front of people because you have to jar people into incidents that show you when, if you want to make this an infrastructure story instead of a death story, none of us have ever seen that. All of us would fear the idea, wait a minute, I've got to be safer than a cargo ship can hit my bridge and I'm going to grandma's going to lose her life just driving to get over to see me.
Yeah, I mean, families who lost a loved one are not going to feel any better by the result of this, but eventually you have to figure out negligence. You know, how much blame was there on the cargo ship? Was there an infrastructure problem? I mean, was it an old bridge in disrepair? We don't know all that, and it's all happening right now. But I think for me, it's necessary to show the video once and not twice, as you would with a calamitous NFL knee injury that's so gruesome you almost don't want to watch it, but maybe you have to show it once.
But, Greg, we have been talking, about the deterioration of media and how it is that the internet consumes everything. You understand right now that if I put that video in front of anybody, they would watch it many, many times because we've never seen that. And so news entities all over will show it all day today. Look, I didn't even want to start with the idea of this being a moral stand. There are just a bunch of people dead right now, and there are all over the world. All over the world, this is happening. If you want to check in on Gaza, if you want to check in on Ukraine, there's death happening everywhere. And, Faces of Death was something in my youth that was, televised showing of death in real time. But if you went to bed last night and you woke up this morning and you have someone you love in Baltimore, you wonder if they were on that bridge at that moment. And we're supposed to be safer than that. But this isn't an infrastructure story right now today. It's just we don't know how many are dead right now as we say this. And there might be some, they might still be looking for people. But also, adjacent to that, in pop culture and in sports, you've got the internet gathering around Diddy yesterday. And I don't think we've ever seen stuff like this, right? Because your childhood disappears with Bill Cosby. What the hell is that? And you're watching Quiet on Set on Max, and you see that Nickelodeon was like, there was pedophiles on the loose. Like everywhere you look, people are gathering to look at the dirty stuff. And yesterday, what we were watching is an icon from many people's childhood, a mogul. There's video of him walking around what looks like an airport scared. And at that moment, we're all sort of wondering, like we did with O.J. Simpson, is all of what is happening right now in the federal raids of his homes that leads to his kids in handcuffs is accusations that, if proven, which he's denied, and it needs to be said that he's denied right now as we see, but everyone's gathered around watching whether is Diddy about to lose all his freedom, or is he about to try to do what Russell Simmons did and go to Bali and get out of town on a private plane because he can? Can money escape? Are we watching, in the internet age, what was watching O.J. Simpson on television 20 years ago? So that's what it felt, right? That's what the internet was doing yesterday, correct?
Absolutely, especially with his kids being handcuffed and put out his Miami house. That was very jarring to see. You feel me?
It was, yeah. That's what really hit me when you see the two kids. They look like teenagers in handcuffs. It's like, wow, this is so real. And now, unfortunately, there will be a presumption of guilt. Right?
Okay, everything here is alleged.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
sure.
allegations that his children were implicated in this ring, and social media sleuths started digging up videos of women that of young women that Diddy claimed to have adopted, and so there's overwhelming circumstantial evidence. There's an overwhelming number of allegations in the court of public opinion. Many of these have hold water. Diddy has denied seemingly a mountain of allegations against him, and now the optics of him seemingly on the run to add to all of this.
I don't want to get to the sports stories just yet because we've got two giant sports betting scandals, and I think the lesser of them, or certainly the less obvious of them, involves Ohtani. The less obvious of them, because I was just presented with something so staggeringly stupid that I'm like, that's the most obvious, alleged. But that's the most obvious betting crime I've ever seen, wandering off to the locker room with eye issues, as opposed to just running around on the court, falling down, fouling out, doing something that would allow you the deniability. We'll get to that story in a second.
For lack of a better phrase, hedging with allegedly on this particular scandal. Oh, man. Allegedly is holding up a lot on its shoulders right now.
I believe I will present to the audience what I believe to be no innocent until proven guilty, the single most obvious betting crime an athlete has had since Bart Giamatti died after punishing Pete Rose forever for gambling on baseball. Like, I want to get to what the last 40 years have wrought, because this is just the very beginning of you seeing the dirty underbelly of how many people compete and bet and can't control what gets into your locker room when money's involved. And the gates have opened on this. But let's stay with Diddy for just a second here, because this is nearby. Star Island is right here. His life has been here. His mother lives here. He was here all the time. He was here all the time during the most debaucherous of where it is that fame and power grabs people, and the temptations of Miami come, and all of a sudden your life is totally out of control because you're so powerful. All the vanities are huge. The Kardashians can create that into $1 billion empire. You're a mogul on top of mogul. And it made me think of Vince McMahon when I think of the allegations here. How powerful people get to a place. And I'm not saying that all powerful people are some version of perverted, but there are so many, I'm going to say, perverts who are powerful people. It makes me wonder, like, do you get to a level of fame where, whether you're Vince McMahon or this, the heights of pleasure are like, just none of us would even understand it, because you're just an abuser of power and part of, like, again, all allegations. But that's what like when Russell Simmons is hiding in Bali, and he's hiding, and we all know it, we're like, oh, you did those things and you're hiding. And, he denies them, and allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, this story.
But we're watching yesterday thinking we were going to see the O.J. Simpson thing again, correct? And people are tracking private planes now as well. And we know what about where he is as we speak.
Right, the fire alarm is.
I know I'm live.
Bad time.
I know I'm
Terrible
live
timing.
now though. I can't stop what we're doing just because there's a fire alarm.
But yeah. Especially
Billy,
when
is
he's
everything
surrounded-
okay?
You just pretend that's not there and keep going.
I don't
Private
think
plane. I mean,
It's piercing into my brain.
I know
But
it's tough to do our job. What are we talking about?
I don't want to be a Monday morning quarterback on this, but Love Air. Someone should have, like, hey, what's going on? Right? Wrong?
Can we?
I'll turn this off.
Can we pick apart the easy one and just head into the Jontay Porter one? Can we start there?
You want to start with the sports scandal?
Yeah, well, because that one seems like the easiest one to tackle because this one seems like the most obvious. Whenever you have, thank you very much for the warning. Maybe we should get out of here. Let's investigate, everybody. But when a prop on Jontay Porter is the single biggest moneymaker in the NBA, according to DraftKings Sportsbook that night, we got something to look into, especially when the player willingly takes himself out of a game and all the unders cash.
And I've been wrong. I bet on Jontay Porter like 2 times his ass went under. God damn it. Salute to Jontay Porter, but lock his ass up.
How did everybody know? Like, was there a group chat? Like, how did all the gamblers got together and told each other?
There's a TV show called World's Dumbest Criminals. Dare I say, if it was still on air, my boy Jontay would be front and center.
All right, let me explain to the audience that may not be up to the details. I discovered who this person was yesterday. I learned that he was is the brother of Michael Porter. I learned that he played for the Raptors. I was not familiar with his game. And I learned this name because it just came across with betting scandal. There's been an investigation into betting scandal. And I'm like, okay, we better get used to those, right? I don't know who this player is, but there will be many names coming in the future. And this will be the first. This will be much worse than Calvin Ridley. This is so obvious that career is over. Like this.
Well, he's also of a stature where you could say his career is over.
That's correct. Sure. But we all discovered together, correct, that he looked like, not like Michael Porter, but like a 2000s rom-com of what a basketball player would look like if you went to Hollywood to go get a basketball player, correct?
Absolutely.
Love and Basketball extra.
Jawline, perfect.
We
everything.
agree, yes. And now, but the thing is, that by itself scandalous enough. You could say, oh, this is going to be this. People paying attention will know that this is worse than Ohtani, no matter what the details are on Ohtani, because this is just so very obvious.
Allegedly, none of this is proven.
Allegedly,
But
This is all allegedly.
Okay, larger than $10,000 bets came in on his unders in random games. Like, brother, the dumbest criminals.
no,
right?
the details. Juju,
Allegedly.
now,
Just saying, no one can add Ipe to this group chat. This would have made this all go away.
Free e-pay, by the way. We piled it on at this point.
I need the audience to understand that what Jontay Porter did was allegedly.
Allegedly. Has he denied?
He did.
Allegedly.
Or has he been like, you got me?
Not yet, but we all got you. Do you realize that crimes are rarely solved by the internet quite this successfully? Where it's like, there's no need for allegedly here. We all see what happened. This is obvious, but I've got to get through the details
Not
of the
since Kurt
allegedly.
Rambis's likes has a Twitter case been this open and shut for me.
This is
We
what
can see those. Kurt.
this is what I'm going to enjoy about this time, Greg, in journalism, as the gambling money is propping up all of sports media content right now. Like, all of it is being held up. And when you invite, as the leagues did, because I remember when it happened, right? Fantasy leagues had become so omnipresent. Europe was already doing this. But seeing the name DraftKings on the basketball court was like, whoa, this is gambling, right? Gambling. So sports in America is now going to normalize gambling. And then the pandemic came, and then oil wells everywhere. And the gambling money's holding a lot of people up, like industries, because the gambling money is something that makes March Madness, even though you don't know the names, they're just uniforms running up and down. The average game is getting 8 million viewers because that's gambling on television running up and down. And so the corrosive elements of that are, the dangers to the integrity of sports are that your players can be bought. Yeah. Your referees can be bought. And in this case, these are the details. And they matter because they're this obvious. This guy didn't do us the courtesy of just wandering around, bumping into people and fouling out so you could deny that you were throwing the game. This guy went out with an under. He went out with an eye injury, and then the bets have poured in to make it to make this guy's under and everything
The single biggest moneymaker.
on DraftKings. That's the most suspicious thing in the history of American gambling.
It was a re-aggravation of his eye injury.
Yeah.
So he had an eye injury prior to, if we
Convenient.
want to play the alleged.
People probably knew he has an eye thing. Any little thing could re-aggravate it.
Yeah.
It was
Safe
a
bet.
re-aggravation of he was gambling again.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I learned yesterday that Michael Porter had a brother. So, like, I do think it's pretty sus that this is the top moneymaker when it comes to DraftKings Sportsbook. And we should say that we are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And there's a lot of people that have opined on social media, a lot of people that also have their own conflicts of interest, by the way, taking to the pulpit and saying, well, what did you expect to happen when sports gambling became legal in this country? And I will say, is there an uptick in, as we saw in Iowa with both those college football teams? Yeah, maybe some of this is a byproduct of sports gambling becoming more legal. I would say what is certainly increased as a result of sports betting becoming legal is you finding out about it. And these sports books who are league partners reporting their data to these league partners. It's how Calvin Ridley got pinched. It's certainly how DraftKings apparently shared this very suspicious data with its league partner. If you think that this is now just an invention, fixing games and players taking a dive, if you think that this is allegedly a new thing because all of a sudden a DK logo is on a court, you are so naive. So naive. This thing has been happening all over the world, and now we at least have these entities cooperating to report some of this stuff.
Didn't they rig the 1917 World Series?
Allegedly.
They did. Yeah,
I
the
want to
Black
just step
Sox
up and say
scandal.
one time, I have never been prouder to represent DraftKings Sportsbook. They sniffed that rat out and they called his ass out. Salute to DraftKings. We love you.
I do want to say
Allegedly.
one thing though.
No, salute. No, what do you mean allegedly?
I mean,
Yeah,
sniff the
they're
rat out.
heroes, allegedly. And that is our unbiased spin on all of this. If there is one thing to take away from this story, completely unbiased, it's that DraftKings Sportsbook is the best.
But,
No allegedly there.
but
Nothing whatsoever.
if you were to bet on your overs, I feel like that should be okay.
Okay, well, you've taken the hot take out to the place I'm not prepared to take it right
Like
now.
if I'm betting on my overs,
okay,
I'm trying to
look.
play well, right?
Just hold on.
I think Reese
hold on.
Davis would call that a risk-free investment, my friends. By the
Okay.
way, that cashed. Everyone that wants to give Reese, it cashed.
All right, let's normalize, please. If we're going to normalize it, let's normalize it. Okay, fine. Do I want to join you on the limb of, all right, everyone who wants to bet the overs on themselves, have at it. We don't care about the integrity of this. You're just betting on your own confidence.
Right.
America believes in you bet on yourself. Let's make that be the rule. Just you can't bet against yourself.
Exactly right. There's nothing more integrous than going after something yourself and then doing it and then reaping the benefits of that.
Well,
I don't know if
Friend,
that.
he said integrous.
I don't know if
think
that is
that's
a
a
word, but
word.
it should be a
Integrous
word.
is absolutely
It
a word. Look
should
up.
be a word.
That's a
not a
car.
Okay.
I had a very long drive home, and on my long drive home last
I'm gonna look
evening,
it up.
I decided to fix sports. And so, number one, this one's free.
Mike,
by the way,
can
I
you-
fix
you
it.
don't
I
wanna-
fix the NBA. I fix the NBA.
You don't want to
Not-
maybe hold this to June?
No, I
July?
fix. No, I
We're gonna
fix
fix
it.
sports today.
Mike,
Here it is.
Mike,
Okay.
hold on.
All right.
Here, you want to know? This
on.
one's
I
free.
I want to know the only thing. I just want you to make a decision between two things, because I do want this content. I think it is good content. But what Billy said there in making fun of Tony, that Integris is the name of a car, it is an amazing
Man,
name.
it sounds like it's a word.
No, it's an absolutely a word. If you want to look on Oxford, on any dictionary.com, it's a word. Sorry, guys.
Integris.
Idiots. Dorks.
I would buy that car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I believe it was.
Sounds reliable.
I think yes. What else is it? Because the Integris, it is not. It doesn't use gas, right? The Integris preserves the environment. Somebody's got to call a car an Integris that is just economically friendly And also environmentally friendly.
Yeah, or a medication. It also sounds like a pill you would take.
Yeah.
It also sounds like a deer-lion hybrid, some kind of Integris.
Yeah, maybe.
We're workshopping it right now.
It sounds like something Stugotz would have like the antidote to, like that he would
Or
not
be allergic
he'd
to.
be allergic
yeah,
to.
he'd be allergic to it.
Allergic to integrity. Yeah. Mike, you were saying.
I fixed the NBA on my drive home. We're all frustrated. We said let's change the dimensions of the court. I understand that that's tricky with the set infrastructures of certain places.
We're not all frustrated, okay? There are plenty of people who like basketball just the way that it is.
I love it more than I've ever loved it.
Like we're not all frustrated.
No, I understand, but let me break it down for you. There's a very clear trend when it comes to NBA basketball, and it's not a good one when it comes to people tuning in. I think the viewers are weighing in by switching the channel that they don't love this style of the game, and you can romanticize post play, and you could watch videos of the '80s and say, for real, this is what we're missing. But the way that the game is going, it's less visually appealing to some, and I understand where you're coming from, where you like guys bombs away. Here's my solution: bigger balls.
Hey, yo.
Smaller rims.
Yeah. Make no. This is easy.
It's a carnival.
Why smaller rims?
No.
Bigger balls.
You can almost
ball
fit
doesn't go
two
in.
balls into one rim. You can almost
No,
fit
you
two.
can fit
but
two.
not like side by side. You got to move it around. People don't realize. You just make it bigger by like a centimeter, and let's see what happens.
But if you make
Make
the
it bigger
rims
by a centimeter.
smaller, to Greg's point, you have less things to adjust,
yeah,
right?
but no,
Exactly.
you're only fixing the ball.
Yeah,
keep
but you
the
have to
dimensions.
fix a lot of
keep
balls.
Keep the rim. There's all sorts of different size balls. The WNBA use a different size ball.
Swish.
Yeah, make a bigger ball.
Like a beach ball.
Just a slightly almost imperceptible. A slightly bigger ball by like a centimeter, and see what happens.
What if you tell people you made a bigger ball, but you never did? So then in their head, I mean, if it's just centimeters bigger, you wouldn't know the difference, right? But once you know it's a bigger ball, you'd be like, I don't know about this. So it's like a placebo effect with basketballs where you just tell everybody, hey, you know what? This year, the balls are bigger. And it's the exact same balls, and then see what happens.
It's such a good advertising campaign, right?
And
We
this
got
year,
bigger balls.
Bigger balls. Look, if you understand what I came up with on my drive home, they would have paid a consulting firm $7 million for. Just make the ball a little bit bigger.
I can't wait to reach that point in my career.
Yeah.
Consulting? What a racket.
Bigger balls.
All right, there's an easier way to fix the NBA. Okay, and I just thought of this off the top of my head. It makes so much sense. Shorten the season, limit 3-point shots. You put a whole new strategy into the game.
Yeah,
If
you know how
limit
you know how you
3-point
limit 3-point shots
Like this.
with a bigger ball.
With a bigger ball. Okay.
I'm just going to stop everyone now, okay? Because we've got plenty to talk about today, and I'm now officially mad that Mike Ryan has decided to fix basketball.
How does a bigger ball fix 3-point shots?
Because less shots go in, and so it'll naturally
I see.
legislate fewer shots being
Yeah.
taken from outside, and people will want to get a little closer to the rim because their margin for error has now shrunk because the ball is a little bit bigger. So
But-
guess what? Zach Edey, you now have a place in the NBA.
But Greg wants to literally legislate how many
Yes.
3-pointers you could take. You'd even have it on a board, and every time they take one, an X
Exactly.
goes through it.
You-
like
and
timeouts.
I'm not sure what the number should be. In my mind, it's 10.
Yeah, they got
It's
three
10.
3-pointers left in the game.
Golden
How are they
shot
going to use
20.
them?
This
save
is so
them.
convoluted.
Save them.
If you
No,
just
for
make
when
the
you need
ball a
them.
little bit
Yeah.
bigger, it does everything. It does all the work for us.
Nobody
I'm now
sees
on
that
Dan's
change.
side. I'm on Dan's side. I do know that no matter how big you make the ball, the Celtics will find a way to blow a damn lead when I'm in Miami. If you look back on the track record, if you see me in Miami, Jontay Porter, I see you out there, bet the Celtics to lose when I'm in Miami because they will lose and crap the bed. I bring my Celtics jersey every time to wear down here, and I can never wear it without being embarrassed. Wow. Salute.
And you can't do a salute at the end of
We
that.
saluting, big brother.
Please salute the
Salute.
bigger
Right
balls
about that.
idea because I think the bigger balls idea is a good idea.
He
Yeah.
is pushing that idea, man.
You don't. You don't. You
I didn't
don't.
even get to how I fix gambling in sports.
We'll get to it. There's time.
You don't neuter the hater that you sound like.
Oh, whoa, wow.
Whoa,
Hey,
allegedly.
yo.
Allegedly.
Okay, here we are.
Wow.
Deny those allegations.
I deny 100% the allegation.
Wow.
With
We'll
a
back.
salute.
Salute to Dan Le Batard and that beautiful jacket, by the way.
It is
Hair
a nice
perfectly
jacket.
coiffed as well. We'll be back after these messages, ladies and gentlemen.
Juju ever so gently, and that's not fair to call him a hater when he's very positive, and he's a Celtics fan, and they are enraging because
He denied the allegation.
I know he did, allegedly. Okay, a hater,
Vehemently.
allegedly. But he just throws salutes out there when he's crushing people, and then says salute, salute, and it does dilute it. I'm not going to lie, it works. But I hear in there the thing that everyone is doing to the Celtics now. You know how they're going to lose? Like they did last night, where they're up by 30, and you know they're 30 points better than everybody, and then something happens at the end, and the game gets close. And then, oh, look, at the end of the game, bigger balls, like Atlanta and all that. Who's going to, at the end of the games, Mike's trying to fix the sport, and I'm here to tell him there's nothing wrong with it, because you'll get me sucked in every time. If, this is the best Celtics team I've ever seen, they actually crush everybody, but they've got that weak spot of that's how they're going to lose everything in a Game 7 against Milwaukee.
I guarantee you, if you put out to the world, hey, Raptors, Wizards today, bigger balls. Bigger balls. If you just put the word out, they're going to be playing this game with bigger balls, you're going to have people tuning in like you won't believe.
You know who needs some bigger balls? The Joe Mazzulla. He needs to grab the reins in Miami. in Boston, and tell those brothers, look, too much isolation ball in critical moments. We need to swing the ball around the perimeter, everywhere, whatever they call it these days. Allegedly, it's perimeter. But they need to get more team oriented instead of trying to shoot jumpers, because they're going to shoot themselves right in the foot.
Salute to Joe Mazzulla, though.
Salute.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think I'll ever get over him trying to defend that shot at the end of a quarter. Did you see that, Dan? Where he's just going out it, like going out and trying to defend it. It was so weird.
I never forgive him for saying he watches
Integrous
the
is the
town.
word. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry.
He watches the town every week. Like, what is that?
Ending's not going to change. It's the same thing.
Right, X's and O's.
That team should be an overwhelming favorite to win this year's championship. They are leaps and bounds better than everybody by a lot.
Oh, come on. Their superstar goes missing in weird times.
But that's
their other
not
superstar
playoff
can't dribble
basketball.
to one direction.
But that's not playoff basketball. Allegedly. You didn't let me finish.
There we go. I'm sorry. I'm a hater.
I was in the middle of my take.
I'm sorry. I'm a hater. I don't like that team. I don't like them, their fans, what they represent. The fact that they built their prestige on, 4 other teams with maybe 3 black guys in total in the league. Like, I don't like them one bit. In fact, most people hearing my voice right now have seen the Toronto Raptors win the same amount of NBA championships.
Yeah, I have. But you know what? This sparks a question. You called me a hater, and I understand. You're a Miami guy, and you just told me you don't like me to my face. I understand that. Yeah. But what do you guys like? Because I listen to the show every single day. I hear y'all. I see y'all look into the camera and be like, I don't like this person for doing that, and this person should be ashamed of themselves. Yeah. What do you brothers like in sports?
I love Matthew Tkachuk.
Oh yeah.
I love Matthew Tkachuk so much. He is.
Sir.
Honestly, like his brother Brady is expecting, and I got so happy for Uncle Chucky.
Same too.
I just love this man.
Huge game tonight.
Nice.
Oh my God.
What do you like?
Wait a minute.
Okay, my bad.
No.
I like the Panthers, Juju.
I like what you're doing, Juju, but Billy, all of a sudden, and this was curious, but you'll get used to this with Billy, just threw out there, big game tonight, Panthers and Bruins, that we could talk about, but he's just trying to ruin the show. You were trying to bring...
It's the biggest game of the year, Billy.
Excuse me.
It's the biggest game of the year.
I'm giving you an on-ramp to discuss it. I'm like,
Thank you. I appreciate. Thank you.
It's a playoff matchup, Dano.
Yeah,
Thank
always,
you.
Always
Thank
appreciate
you.
the
Playoff
opportunity.
energy.
Juju, head on a
Talk
swivel.
about my local
Billy
team.
will... he does not care about this game tonight.
Falsehoods.
You brought...
I now subscribe to Bally Plus, Sports Plus.
Allegedly.
No, I do.
Let me get your login.
Oh.
No, I don't share logins.
Hey, man, it's gonna be rocking.
I don't trust the sharing of the logins. I don't want to be that guy. I don't trust it. I'm going to be the
You
guy
wouldn't
that
let me
goes
cheat
down.
on a test in school, would you?
If you cheat off of me, you're not going to get an A. I'm telling you that right now.
Forsling and Barkov back in the lineup today would appear. This is huge. And we're experimenting the last few games with Tarasenko on that third line. That's where I like him. That's where I like him. I don't want to screw up the chemistry of that first line. However, E2 and Lundell with Sam Reinhart, something there.
Yep.
Something there.
Dress rehearsal tonight, some are saying, right, Mike?
This is as big a game as you'll find on the NHL slate, and that is saying something because every night there is banger after banger. Last night, the LA Kings going to Vancouver. Banger of a game, 3-2. You found out exactly why you cannot trust the Vancouver Canucks one iota. They're going to get upset in the first round. Trust me on this one.
I wish there was a place I could get tickets.
I did the yesterday.
Oh, okay, it said Tuesday.
Yeah,
so I was just
I
trying to-
appreciate
yeah.
it. But Game Time,
yeah, you can still
promo
get
code
them at
Dan,
Game Time.
$20
Yeah, exactly
off your
right.
first purchase.
There you go.
I use Game Time all the time.
Can you tell me more about Game Time? Because I'm here to tell the audience that Game Time has done right by us, and so we ask you to do right by the people who do right by us. So
And
tell
they
them-
have, Dan. They have. I've heard back from Game Time, and they are so happy with our fans using this promo code Dan for $20 off their first purchase. Guys, if you don't have an account, create one right now. Take advantage of that promo code Dan. Terms apply. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
And they give you a view of where you're going to
How do they do that?
on your app.
How do
The
they do that?
future
AI,
is here.
AI technology,
Salute to
AI,
Game
Integris.
Integris, yeah. Mm-hmm. Salute to them.
Yep. It is a word, by the way. I looked it up.
Yeah, what does it
Integrity.
mean?
Trying to tell you guys.
Did he
It's,
use it
it's,
right?
it's a root of integrity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Like Paul
legit.
Maurice.
Yeah, it's legit.
It's one could be integris. One
Yes.
cannot be integrity unless
Correct.
somebody can.
It,
Well used by
Tony. This is one of the bigger
that I'm not
upset,
sure about.
one of the bigger upsets we've ever had around here because Greg knows his words and I less so, and I didn't think that was a word. And Integris an automobile should absolutely be Integris, but I don't want to allow Billy to escape here.
Someone talking puck, dude!
Finally. Been waiting. Jeez Louise.
Is someone talking puck? Ah, boys! Yes, we are! Do we have a barrel ride for you tonight, hombres? Oh,
I've
these
missed
lives.
you so much. Where have you been, hockey guy who talks far away from the mic? Where have you been?
North of the border, mostly. Great year for Canada. They're going to fall on their freaking faces. Let me tell you something. The Florida Panthers got it going on. You got Evan Rodriguez out there. I like to call him Boca Grande. Have you seen the size of that guy's mouth? Huge mouth. Biggest mouth you'll ever see. I'm telling you, not enough people are talking about Boca Grande.
crazy.
You got Nick Cousins, Primos, I like to call him out there, doing Primos things. You got the smoothest skater in the NHL, and Sasha Barkov going back home to Finland next year. Really jacked about that.
Can I
Great
stop
year.
you for
You
a
got
second?
7 teams in line for the Biden Cup, bro.
Seven.
That'll hit you
Not
hard.
one, not
That'll
two.
hit you harder than a nice tart ceviche.
Look, hockey guy, surfer guy, far away from the mic. I have missed you so much that I am willing to accept you back as an occasional correspondent that bothers the audience with his hockey knowledge.
Who's the best defender in the NHL? Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes. Discuss.
No, we don't want to discuss that, though.
I'd like to hear that conversation.
For me, it's
Yeah.
Gustav Forsling.
That wasn't an
one
option.
Better, no one better in the NHL when it comes to plus minus. Not talked about enough, fellas. Get on board. Hop aboard and paddle. That's right, sir.
Hop on board. Lord Stanley's coming. Hop on.
If you get stuck, cut the strap, just like Jimmy Buffett did to Colin Jost in his book.
R.I.P.
Did you know that Jimmy Buffett saved Colin Jost's life surfing in the Dominican?
Really?
But you didn't.
Wow.
I read that book for book club. Still waiting for that Mystery Crate episode. I'm ready.
We're getting to
Read that
that.
entire
Yeah.
book. That's where I've been. Last 7 months, been reading Colin Jost's book. Jimmy Buffett, rest in peace.
Lovely cruise.
Greg Cody has been denied his sweet, sweet ending on the show of Jimmy Buffett singing his last song as he retired.
Yes.
Instead, he
Couldn't get that happen.
Instead, he is going to a concert, Hollywood Bowl, a concert of a lifetime, to watch former Beatle and other musical greats basically tell Greg's favorite, hey, we respect you, as everyone knows how subjective all this art is, as one of the greatest, and your loss will be felt. Greg Cody is going to do that. And
I was smoking a Hollywood Bowl watching Ainsley Kopitar last night.
I want more of your coverage, okay? My problem right now is, though, I'm a little scared at how good Billy, or how comfortable Billy has gotten inside of both Anarchy and executive producer, because what he just did to me deftly, as Juju tried to insert positivity in the room, as he flogged our entire audience with hockey. That's what happened. Juju was trying to make the room positive, and Billy doesn't want a positive room.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't. No. Billy does not want a positive room back there. You were trying to get Tony to take so positive, Juju. Tell me what you like about sports. And no, Billy's like, no, don't
We
tell me.
brought back an old friend we haven't heard from in a long time.
The Vegas Golden Knights are going to upset the Vancouver Canucks. It's plain as day. You're going to have Mark Stone coming back into the lineup and Tomas Hertl. Oh, they made a deadline move for him. Keep an eye out for these Vegas Golden Knights, man. They're doing something shady with that salary cap. How do we allow this?
Billy, please get the sound as quick as you can, because I heard Tony say who, I think. And Tony's listened to this show for a long time. And we can't get him into hockey. It's not possible. He's Cuban. And he lives in Dade. But Billy just shouted out Tomas Hertl. And it made me think of, because someone shouted R.I.P. I don't know who shouted R.I.P. And someone might say, well, what? Did he just kill Tomas Hertl, who I don't think is dead? And no, Billy is...
Just hasn't played for a little bit. Yeah. Vegas is pretending he's dead, only to resurrect him Undertaker style against the Vancouver Canucks, who they will beat in the first round. Take that to the biggity bang. Wow. The biggity bang.
I believe the time I was most exposed on my lack of hockey knowledge on ESPN was with our hockey correspondent, the late Alan Thicke, R.I.P. Have you found that sound, Billy, of me making Tomas Hertl, Tomas from Hialeah, because I made his first name Hispanic instead of whatever it is that I was supposed to be doing there?
I want to talk Tomas Hertl with him.
Yeah.
Is he the best player in hockey? Hockey correspondent.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I miss that man so much.
Oh, God.
Rest in power, King.
Oh, God. Seriously, though, if you don't place a bet on the Vegas Golden Knights to upset the Vancouver Canucks when this matchup becomes official, you are fooling yourselves, boys. Yeah. This is as vintage a President's Trophy potential winner falling on their face as humanly possible. Yeah. I do not trust the Vancouver Canucks one bit. This is free advice. That was well said by the Surfer Hockey guys. Yeah.
Risk-free? Risk-free. Sponsor it.
Some would say.
Brought to you by DraftKings. Sponsor it. Some would say.
No.
We can say.
No, we
It
can't.
is in my personal
allegedly. Say it. Say it with your chest.
It is in my personal opinion that DraftKings Sportsbook encourages safe betting, and they're always a huge part of the regulatory process.
Free ePay.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get to everything today. I never say that. I don't think it's possible. We have not even done what happened with Ohtani yesterday. The gambling controversy that I'm guessing, and please correct me because I don't know how this is being covered. Ohtani is hugely famous, and yes, $4 million, $4.5 million with a cover-up and the hugely famous player, that seems like a gambling scandal. Hell, last week I said if the worst of that is true, that'll be the biggest one of the biggest sports scandals we've ever seen. And then Jontay Porter happened. And I'm like, nope, that's a bigger one. He's not as famous. Now, obviously, if a famous person did it that way. But in terms of an obvious link to, this person, if I were Ohtani's people, I would throw this guy. You guys think the economy would just bury a translator? Like, if I was thinking about the most mafioso allegedlys you could put together to protect the economy of Ohtani, I'd call and ask if Michael Porter has a brother. To create this controversy that's so stupid, but so obviously guilty. Allegedly. I do not need a trial. Whoa. I don't need to live in an American system of government. I don't need an explanation. All of it allegedly, denial, allegedly. But holy if I didn't know better, I could now, by association, say, so that's why Michael Porter played that way in the finals. The worst starter on the floor for Denver and Miami.
Now we're talking.
Oh, whoa.
That is a bridge too far.
Allegedly.
Don't have the right reckless speculation hat for
Okay,
that.
I have it. Hold on a second.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Thank you. I need that. I can't do it then. Nobody was going to do it.
Genuinely looking for Greg to
somebody
play the role.
Somebody to tell me that I was good.
I'm surprised you're bringing Michael into it.
Yeah.
Well,
to be honest.
Well, he hasn't yet. We're about to get reckless.
Too far.
All right. Okay.
What's the point of being reckless unless you're going to be reckless?
Go all the way, man. Do it.
Speculate, Dano.
Well, just tell him he's good. Just say it. Just say
Well,
you're good.
Juju said it, but I feel like hold on.
Well, you need that chair to say you're good.
Yeah, you're good. Go.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
In the finals last year, Denver crushed Miami. Michael Porter was the worst starter in that series by leaps and bounds. I know this because before that series, one of my expert opinions was, you all are going to learn how good a basketball player Michael Porter is. And then we watched the finals together, and none of us learned that, and he made me embarrassed.
So you got a grudge.
So I have got a vindictive grudge. My bias, that's right. I allege to be a journalist. I allege.
Allegedly.
But I, too, bought by DraftKings.
Yeah. How much money did you lose betting on Michael Porter?
Well, I bought, this is the thing. I went Michael Porter over on 6.5 rebounds or something. And then I'm looking out there, and he's just wandering around and missing shots, and then it's 2 rebounds. I'm like, you're not trying, but I can't prove it.
Yeah, but you're not bitter, though.
But you're not that bad, but I can't prove it. I can't. This guy got me. This guy, allegedly, might have taught his brother how to do this. poorly, but.
Oh, whoa. Fade the music back up.
It's all reckless and it's irresponsible and it's
Missed like 30 straight threes in the finals, by the way.
so
As
bad.
if you were shooting with bigger balls.
On multiple
But
Thursday
imagine-
Thunders, not crash the boards. I mean, neither here nor there, but I'm 16-3.
Gotta follow your
and
shot.
Michael Porter Jr. are 2 of them.
You can't miss 33s if you're only allowed to take 10.
Yes, thank you.
Allegedly.
Limit the threes.
Okay, I will not fix basketball today with Billy Gill.
You're not trying.
Well, we already
We're going to be
fixed it.
perfectly honest. We're trying to
It's
fix it.
fixed,
There's only
man.
one person
I
fitting
have
out.
a
Limit the
stamp
threes.
that says bigger balls.
Limit the games, limit the
$7
threes.
million,
I have a
please.
stamp that says fixed.
Okay.
Which
well,
way? Oh, hold on.
Which
Yeah.
way?
What was fixed?
That's a good stamp. I like that both ways, that stamp where we could just, man, you don't think we can do a segment every day just called Fixed? Allegedly. Every day, something in sports. But if we're going to let the walls come crumbling down, then let's let them come crumbling down. The gambling money is everywhere. It is... This is just the start of it, Ohtani. Some nobody over.
Dan, keep your eye on the bigger ball. Yeah. And don't put this on the companies. Exactly right. I say, as someone that is totally unbiased, look at the perpetrators. Yeah.
Okay, I will entertain. I want to get to these other things, but I will entertain your bigger ball just this way. Just in order to,
Thank you. Like, you guys are minimizing my bigger ball thing, and I really don't appreciate it because I haven't heard that anywhere. Make the ball a little bit bigger.
Imagine that.
What I'm telling. Look, there are any number of times I get dragged into God knows what sewer on the internet because somebody on this show has had an opinion that then gets attached to me. Warren Sapp wants to kill me because he thinks that I think he has bad breath.
Allegedly.
I've never
He's
said
denied the
that.
allegation.
Allegedly.
Stugotz has said that.
I thought you said it.
I am willing to endorse, though. I usually avoid. I prevent. I try. I'm like, they said it. It doesn't matter. In this instance, I am willing to endorse Mike Ryan's take 100% as fixing basketball. The one fix stamp, not the other one we're talking about where the games are fixed.
Oh, the Jontay Porter stamp.
Allegedly. The big ball theory that he throws out there has only one problem in it. Because these guys are such scientists about shooting, the one time they did try to change the ball just a little, there was a revolt by the players because shooters could no longer shoot. Yeah. So you want less scoring
I am not
with
making
a ball.
Swaggy P a scientist, just for the record. And I understand it was calamitous. But we have a problem here. Guys are chucking up 15 three-point shots a game, and the audience has voted saying that is unappealing to the eye, and they are voting with a remote control. So how do we legislate this without putting in absolute limits like Greg Cody is recommending?
But why are you against that? Because not only does it help what the problem is, it adds a whole new strategy to the game.
It's communist.
It's un-American. Let me shoot threes as much as I want for as long as I want with who I want to do it with.
U.S.
You
We don't limit. We explore our inhibitions over here and do so. What is America like? Hedonism and big things. So be hedonistic with a bigger ball.
Yeah, and how's that working? The hedonistic bigger things. How's that working?
I
with
mean,
the
we're still on the
NBA?
medal stand when you look at the globe. All right, so I won't apologize for being on the medal stand.
Okay.
He's not going to apologize for bigger balls. He's not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to apologize to the audience for not mentioning these 6 words in, 52 minutes in? Paige Buchers, Juju Watson, and the kid herself, Caitlin Clark. Phenomenal performance.
You know what,
Yeah.
Juju? You're so
Holy
right
damn
about
moly.
this. Juju, I'm sorry. So because this show, look at how male this show is right here.
Bigger balls.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. The advertising slogan, a big stamp on our show should be, for us and the NBA, it's hedonistic, bigger balls. But who's got bigger balls? The women.
They do.
Fixed.
Caitlin Clark and her entire team, gutsy performance. Her last performance
Yes.
in Iowa. Our sister Lucy was there. We might holler at her later in the show. But man, it was such a great team effort because the other team was West Virginia. They was playing their best game of the year, in my opinion. They had that look in their eyes, and then Caitlin Clark and them girls said, "No, thank you. We're moving on."
I saw that look and co-sign it.
She looked at the crowd and said, explicit word after explicit word.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So like
Allegedly.
internet
Allegedly.
sleuths are alleging that she said, "Shut the bleep up."
Yeah, she
but
did.
But
I saw it.
But she was at home.
I saw it. Wait a minute. Greg saw it. Wait a minute. Greg saw it. Greg saw it. We've got a journalist.
I seen it.
We've
No,
got a
your eyes can lie. Your eyes can lie. Look at what's his name's brother.
Allegedly.
Yeah, but she was at home. She was playing at home. Why is she telling the home crowd to shut the bleep up?
Because a West Virginia fan was on her a little bit, and it's very, I'm not a lip reader. Very difficult to mistake that phrase. Very difficult to mistake
Allegedly.
that. It was pretty obvious.
Allegedly.
And
What was the phrase? And then I'll try to throw you off by saying
shut the
something
F up was the phrase.
Might have been get the F up for the crowd, but neither here nor there.
That's not the interesting parts of what happened last night. Chris Cody wished for America to sweat last night. America sweat because it was a close game.
Yep.
Caitlin Clark was because look, man, she's the biggest star in the sport, and the microscope is going to be on her in a way that now, if you think politics aren't going to come to sports everywhere, watch what happens when everything escalates here and she gets accused of either sore loser or dirty, because I don't think people understand how hard it is to be as dominant in that sport as she is. So the story from last night is, she played a close game. It looks like somebody's going to beat her because no one's as great as her.
Right. And also the referees, salute to all the referees in the NCAA, get it together. Men's league and the women's league. There were some questionable no calls in that game and calls in that game for one team or neither. But neither here nor there because it was an epic performance by her and the squad. Yeah. Also across the pond, if you will. Maybe we're calling it across the pond now.
Yeah.
Juju Watkins and USC, gutsy performance last night, late in the night. They don't get enough eyes from the East Coast because they have that window. It's so late, like LeBron and them girls. But it was a great performance by her. And then Gino tried to insert Paige in the best player of the year conversation last night, which is, she's the best player in the league.
Yeah,
you feel me? Salute to Gino, but you, brother, are tripping because there are girls out here who deserve that. But salute to Paige. You're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah. Okay, Lucy Lesso. Everyone loves Lucy, but she's grifting a bit. It's like, I've got to get to Iowa and want to eat ice cream. Like what? I've got to be part of the media. And what it Tony, you look like you appreciate the grift. Like you
I always appreciate a good grift. You always have to have something in your back pocket, Dano. That's the thing.
We want to be a part of this story. Lucy's there. What kind of content?
She's doing great work.
She was eating ice cream. She was at a bar.
I've denied the allegation.
Lucy was mentioning in that video several times how hard she was working on this video.
It's hard. Also, Lucy is from Iowa, where she went to the school, so her heart is on the court.
From
and that
North
game
Carolina,
was too close.
yeah.
You feel me? She couldn't snap in. She was worried. I love her.
Well, I'll be happy to let you guys know that I reached out to Lucy to see if she'll be joining us today to recap great game.
Good
big game.
executive
Everybody's been
producer
talking
work.
about it.
Good.
Yeah,
Rule with an iron fist.
Yeah,
Well
I reached
done,
out to
Billy.
her.
Is she actually going to join us?
No, she said she's not going to. She's flying today, but I reached
damn.
out. So
Yeah, she's tired from that other video.
Right. She got flights to catch.
Yeah.
She's got the giant imaging
Do we have something from her work over there?
Meadowlark Media paid all sorts of money for the Iowa correspondent imaging so that everywhere she landed. Look, man, didn't we already reveal that in Iowa one time, like a drone was flying over? We were trying to get our exclusive.
Allegedly.
Salute to John Reed.
Legitimately denied those
Allegedly.
allegations.
Salute to John Reed.
Allegedly.
Do you have the Iowa correspondent?
Lucy Rodine, Iowa correspondent.
Maybe tomorrow. We'll
What?
see.
Of her eating ice cream? Video.
Replay the other video. It was so good.
Free e-pay.
I so love Jemele's diligence here. This is clearly an airport lounge. There is so much to talk about, though, that we had to reach out and get her wherever it is that she was in the world. She can be anywhere in the world because there is so much to talk about. So, Jemele, I'm going to offer you the floor and ask you which of yesterday's topics, sports or otherwise, was the most interesting to you. But there's plenty of them, and I don't know which you're going to choose.
Okay. I'm imagining myself on Price is right now or some game show. I'm going to pick otherwise.
Okay, because you've got on the list, Jemele, you've got two gambling stories in sports that are going to be the new normal, whether we realize it or not, as soon as this all comes under inspection. We have a catastrophe in Baltimore that is heartbreaking to talk about, that is the video of which is crushing, and we can all put ourselves in the inside of a calamity in that moment. And it sort of brings humanity together when you can all imagine yourself in the same position of, oh, life can go that quickly right from under my feet, literally. And you've got Diddy. You've got Kim Mulkey as well, because the journalism around the Kim Mulkey story to me remains fascinating. And what Kim Mulkey did on the offensive to make sure that whatever comes out next, we're going to shrug our shoulders and say, is that all? When is that all is probably going to be a toxic work culture that allegedly that everyone can condemn unless you file it under, well, she wins. So which is your choice, Jemele? Which of those would you like?
Well, damn, Dan, I feel like you wanted me to pick sports. Fine, Dan, I'll change my mind. I'll pick sports.
And then Caitlin Clark. And then Caitlin
There
Clark.
you go.
Okay.
Juju Watkins.
Okay, there we go. Let's do it. Let's go sports. Well, listen, I mean, it was, as you mentioned, a lot going on in these last couple of days. And I guess I'll just start with the last thing you mentioned, Kim Mulkey, for example. And this is unfortunately a part of the culture that we're in right now. Every day there's a fight to do good journalism. And I feel like that fight has been lost. I hate to sound very pessimistic, as I often I find myself being these days, but Kim Mulkey played from a playbook that has worked. It worked for the former president of the United States as well. Once you label the news media the enemy of the state, and once you are able to get people distracted from whatever is the information to come, listen, Kent Babb, who is supposedly the journalist who is working on the story, he should be very happy. I don't know if the Washington Post was planning to put the story behind a paywall, but put one down by it now, because now we're all interested. Kim Mulkey basically drew attention to a fire we didn't even know was happening. And a lot of people look at this as a strategy to get out front. I think it was a bad strategy, because we're more interested than ever in this story. And not to mention, even though she said afterwards that, her team wasn't distracted. I mean, LSU didn't, despite the final score, they didn't play particularly well. I'm not saying that these two things are related, but we get on players all the time and use the word distraction to include everything under the sun. And here you have the coach kind of doing the same thing. Listen, journalism has lost the overall fight. I mean, misinformation and disinformation is here. And now if you just label everything to be fake or label everything to be true, whether you've seen the evidence or not, that is enough of a seed that is planted in people's mind to already have an opinion about something that they haven't seen. Investigative journalism is hard work. It's practically dead in our industry because it's costly, because there's only a limited number of people who can do it. And then on top of that, it creates a level of backlash that a lot of news organizations are no longer comfortable accepting. But do know this, the Washington Post has been at this a very long time. And Kim Mulkey can threatening the paper that brought us Watergate, that took down Richard Nixon, is laughable and amusing in itself. I mean, a lot of how Kim Mulkey has behaved has been excused, I think. I mean, I think she's gotten a pretty golden pass when you look at the totality of the things that she said and done. And some of that has to do that we're still in this phase right now with women's sports, and especially with women's basketball as it's exploding before our very eyes, that there is a protectiveness that is put over this sport because it has been unfairly treated by the NCAA. news media organizations have not put a lot of resources into covering women's sports. So what you do get sometimes is this need to not just protect it, but to cheerlead for it. And because of that, a lot of the things and toxic traits that we've seen in male sports for a long, long time, they exist on the women's side as well. And they go undercover because, frankly, they haven't, a lot of what has been covered in women's sports has not been covered with the same level of scrutiny and to the degree that men's sports have. And so Kim Mulkey has, frankly, gotten a pretty big pass given her level of success. This is not unique in the sense that we've seen very powerful coaches who are able to win and bring championships. They are allowed to behave as they want to behave as long as they're winning. So I'm very curious. I mean, this could be anything from Kim Mulkey cut somebody off in traffic to massive NCAA violations to traffic to toxic culture, as you mentioned. I have no idea, but I know that I'm interested now. But I hate it for our profession that this is once again shedding a light on what is the state of journalism at this moment. I mean, you named off a lot of things. Gambling. All right, let's do gambling next. I'm currently working on a piece about that for the
hold on. We've got. I want to get all of this with you, but I have some journalism questions as well.
Okay.
But you hijacked the show.
Okay, my bad.
Stop.
She deserves to hijack the show.
Stop that gambling conversation. Stop it.
It would be great if this whole thing was over like a traffic violation or she cut someone off, right? Yeah. She's just like so upset that they've like interviewed so many people about it.
Remember, Dan, you're implicated in normalizing sports betting across this state.
Somebody writes in here, is Dan going to be mad at everyone again for not being surprised Kim Mulkey is a POS? Everyone knows. Nobody cares because she wins. Literally the story of every POS sports person ever.
I know what POS means. I don't think Billy knows what POS means. Can you elaborate?
Thank you. Piece of shit.
Oh,
piece of shit is everyone knows this, but she wins. Well,
I watch Bar Rescue. It means something different.
Yes. Have some Integris.
Point of service system, touchscreen.
Jamel,
you got 7 free ones.
I've got it on a loop in my house. I can't stop watching him. He just keeps yelling at the people.
It's one of my 5 favorite shows on TV. Like, in a bucket list of things that I want to do, that I want to accomplish, and however long I have left on this magical earth, I want to be on the recon team for Bar Rescue. I want the beer. I want the food that will probably make me sick and throw up all night. John Tafford, if you're listening, recruit me for the recon team.
This is great. I got something to run by you. What's your opinion on bigger balls?
Hell yeah.
In the NBA, to restrict people from shooting outside, having balls that are just slightly bigger.
My back is early in the morning. I was like, what?
Well, it'll legislate shots from downtown on its own if you naturally have a ball that's maybe just increased by like a centimeter.
Can I explain to Jemele that we want a new advertising campaign for basketball that fixes everything, not the games, but the images and the scoring and the problems. And we're saying be hedonistic, bigger balls.
Fix games.
Fix games.
Limit threes.
6 games. Okay. All righty. Well, that took a turn, as they say. I was not prepared to have an opinion about bigger balls, but I'll lean into you all's expertise because clearly you've thought about this much longer than I have.
Good. She wants only areas.
These aren't ornaments. These serve a purpose.
Yeah. Areas of expertise, because I want to get into the thicket, Jemele, so to speak, of the specifics of how this story comes to be, because you say investigative work, but this is an enterprise reporter. This is not 2 years of reporting. This is somebody who's wanted to do this story for 2 years, but hasn't been working exclusively on it. We've been trying to get the writer on because I want to understand a little more what Kim Mulkey just did, what the strategy of it was in today's America, where the playbook for the strategy of what's going to be reported here by an enterprise reporter. Right now, Kim Mulkey knows because the questions told her. She knows. We don't know. And everything she did the other day was preemptive. It was strategic. It had more thoughts in it as a defense than anything Ohtani did. And what she does by neutering it before it gets started is the reporting has to be so vigorous on, are you going to accuse this person of toxic workplace culture, of being cruel and demeaning to human beings? Are you going to accuse her of that? And she can ward it off by saying, well, it's just embellishments. I'm telling you on the front end, this is a hit piece when it's not that. That I can assure you of, that it's not gratuitously something meant to harm her. It was somebody who went to report that story, a feature on her life, and then came upon a bunch of things that are probably going to be really uncomfortable about what her workplace is. That's what I would guess.
Well, and people have to understand this too, is that when you have fascinating figures in sports, and Dan, when you were at the Miami Herald, you did this many, many times, is that you seek as a journalist to understand why they're so successful. Why have they been able to create the winning and the championships and all the things that she's been able to create? So the natural curiosity should be there in explaining who this woman is and how she's risen to power. Now, lately, and certainly beyond the championships, the reason that Kim Mulkey often is in the news is not usually the best reason. It's not usually the best publicity for her or for her program or for the school. I mean, when you look at the whole season that LSU has had, look at where it started. It started with Angel Reese mysteriously being gone, there being some hints of some kind of discord or some kind of problem happening within the team. We know about Kim Mulkey's very frosty, attitude toward Brittany Griner, particularly when she was being detained in Russia. There have been all these elements and all these, pieces that have been leading us up to who is this woman and how is it that she came to be this way? So that is a very natural question for any journalist to ask. And this particular journalist is considered to be one of the best. And typically, what we shouldn't do when we walk into these situations is write the story in our head or in our mind before we actually do some reporting. And it's possible it is just what you said, that he started reporting on this story to try to explain this towering figure in women's basketball and came upon something that she clearly finds distasteful based off the questions that she had been asked. Now, as you know, covering sports as long as you have, Dan, and I see my man Greg sitting next to you, and I'm sure he could chime in on this as well, is that a lot of times these people in sports who are in these positions don't want to be questioned. They don't want anything beyond the narrative that they try to set. And when you come upon or you're able to report and explain a different narrative than what they presented, they get very, very mad about this. So the reaction is not new. It's something that we've seen virtually with anybody who has any prominence in sports.
Comrades, real quick, how can we have an integrous conversation about journalism when we're dodging questions about bigger balls?
Wow, this is...
I'm going to press you on these bigger balls. You have not answered the question. Would bigger balls fix the NBA?
I'm sorry, I'm too immature to even.
Well, see, this is Jemele. This is why he insists on wasting your time when we have.
This is not a waste of time. You haven't heard that anywhere. Just make the ball just a little bit bigger. I'm fixing the game that clearly has an issue.
Okay.
I'm trying to do a serious thing with my journalist friend who knows about. I mean, we haven't even.
Your journalist friend is dodging a very simple question. How do you feel about bigger balls in the NBA?
So you want this to be like the carnivals that we go to, the street carnivals and stuff, that's how they rig it. Right?
Those are smaller rims. Talking about bigger balls. It's a different thing.
Sorry, different issue.
More cost effective this way.
Okay. I don't want to talk about.
I want to have what Mike had.
I don't want to talk about bigger balls. I do have
an epiphany.
I do have a question for you, Jemele. I think after 2 years of reporting and a very aggressive press conference by Kim Mulkey, I'm concerned that if what comes out of this is toxic workplace, that might not be enough for the American public. They're going to go, much ado about nothing. Like she's the only one who has a toxic workplace?
That's what's brilliant about the strategy, Jemele. The thing I was mentioning again and again yesterday, and it's a dumb strategy, but it's a brilliant one. If you can neuter all the hard work that you have to do to get all of these accusations vetted so that they're not something that can be proven false, and the person is threatening you with a lawsuit before you ever get started, can undermine all of your reporting just by shouting fake news, hit piece, it doesn't... You cannot defend. You can defend yourself very easily against good fact-based journalism that way if it's that unfair of a fight. And Jemele's here to tell you that all over the media, the journalism has It's self-inflicted. This wound, this credibility wound is self-inflicted, Jemele.
Yeah, it is. I mean, despite the fact, again, that we had a former president who brought fake news to the lexicon and really, sort of put a target on all journalists back with his behavior towards journalists and everything that was ever written negative about him, calling it fake news. I agree with it. The reality is that the journalism as a news industry, as an industry period, has been complicit in its own demise. Let's look at what's happening at NBC right now, where they have hired, Ronna McDaniel, who is the former Republican National Committee head, who actively tried to steal an election. Okay, this is not an opinion. This is not, conjecture. We know what she did. And she made calls to Michigan election officials to try to get them to not certify the election. And we know she did this. It is on record. And to platform somebody like that and have the own journalists within your organization rebelling against this hire, it just shows you where you are. Like, everybody's boiled everything down to a disagreement, but we can't have disagreement about facts. That's what we can't do. And unfortunately, we are in the age where it's okay to, if the sky is blue and we all see it, for somebody to call us red, and then everybody say we should tolerate that opinion just because it's different. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You can't debate and disagree with the facts. You can debate and disagree with opinions, with things that are not fact-based, with feelings, with emotions. You can debate those all day. You can't debate what's in front of you. And the unfortunate part of it, as we see this political cycle playing out heading into this election, the news media has learned absolutely nothing from how it covered the last two presidential elections. Hasn't learned a thing. They are platforming people who can drive ratings. Most of the major corporations in news, as we know, are run by people who are more interested in what is financially possible or the financial interest of this company. They are not interested in the journalism. The journalism, the who, what, why, where, why of it all is boring now. You have to have this scintillating entertainment that has made political journalism and journalism period feel a lot more, no disrespect, like wrestling, as opposed to feeling like something that should matter to people. Like, the part of the reason why this democracy works is because we have a functioning free press. Well, that functioning free press is on life support right now, not necessarily because it lacks the freedom, it's because they lack the guts and the honesty and the grit that it takes to do this kind of reporting. Journalists aren't supposed to be liked. We all knew that when we got into this job, but we are supposed to tell the truth. And once you eliminate that part of it, along with the accountability, this is why it's okay to platform election deniers. This is why you have coaches in press conferences calling something fake and saying that something shouldn't be listened to or regarded in any light because it somehow paints you in a bad light. This is why we have this entire conversation going on in our business. And I would say I fear it's destroying the business. I feel like we've already lost. It has destroyed the business.
Jemele, you said in there, no disrespect wrestling. I know you were saying that to wrestling and wrestling fans, but I thought you were saying...
High Horse. I saw her at a WrestleMania once. Wow. It's having a moment. It's cool.
I was at WrestleMania. It's true. He's not lying.
Dwayne beat Cody's ass last night.
I threw shade at something, polite shade.
Well, but it was polite.
Polite shade at something I attended.
But when I took it, we were talking about journalism, and I took it as you were saying to us, no disrespect, but to us, the wrestling show that introduces you with its hedonistic bigger balls, that we were playing the part of wrestling. And this is the question I want to ask you. It's a yes or no question, because I want to get to the Diddy stuff. I think you've got valuable insight for us here. But this is a yes or no question. And you can only say yes or no. In women's basketball, are we headed here with Caitlin Clark and the competitiveness of whatever it is this is going to look like against, white against black, because sociology always comes to sports? Are we looking at a possibility that we get white versus black around Caitlin Clark like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did to birth the league many years ago as a television spectacle? Are we going to get the race element of all of this to make an appearance in a way that's going to create real rivalry and storyline? Yes or no?
Before I answer, do we have to cue the friendly neighborhood race lady music or no? Or can I just answer?
No, yes, we'll do that, but Billy has to do that.
Just started enjoying this story. You
Okay.
want to ruin it?
It's time for your friendly neighborhood race lady.
And to answer your question, yes, Dan.
Okay.
Yes, we are getting that. The racial pornography started last year in the championship between Iowa and LSU.
It was
and
just
that
a
racial
yes or no.
pornography will continue.
It was just a yes or no question.
She's elaborating.
Yes.
No, but it was just.
It requires an elaboration, quite honestly.
Thank you.
That's not. I know, but I didn't
believe you press her on that and not the bigger balls thing.
Okay, I didn't want to.
Still hasn't answered
I
it.
didn't want to press the.
Well,
bigger
most people
balls.
hadn't considered it.
Let's stop pressing the bigger balls. Jemele, the Diddy story that captured the internet. The internet was meant for that story, and I thought I was watching sort of this is going to be O.J. Simpson, right? Is he going to do what Russell Simmons did? So what did we see yesterday? All of it alleged.
All of it alleged. Let's throw that big A word out there. You know what we saw for a lot of people, as we've seen as these figures have continued to fall. We saw somebody who, for a lot of us who grew up in the heyday of Bad Boy, we saw the crumbling of something that is been like an institution in many ways. You know, this is my early 20s, like just going up in smoke. And I know there's been a lot of that lately. I don't feel sad for Diddy. I feel empathy for his children for sure, because that had to be a startling image for a lot of people. And I'm sure certainly for him to see his children in handcuffs. But this is where we are right now. You know, Diddy is facing a number of very serious allegations that were all played out. Most of these have been civil allegations, but you knew that at some point the criminal element of this would surface, and it has. And you mentioned Russell Simmons. There have been similar allegations about him. And what you have found is that this art form, hip hop that was created, there is an underbelly of disgust that has existed in this art form for a long time. That doesn't mean the art form didn't serve its purpose. It doesn't mean that it wasn't revolutionary, and the success that has been there and that has been connected, especially obviously to the Black community. That doesn't mean that those things that it has brought to our community go away. But there have, somebody told me this a long time ago, and I remember when they said it, I was just like, that's, I just sort of blew it off. But it is true. Your favorites are probably problematic, and they're probably awful. It's just one of those things that, while there have been rumors about Diddy for years, I never thought that this moment would actually come where you would see this man who is responsible for bringing in or taking hip hop to a new height, for bringing in the artists that we have loved our whole lives, that you would see him essentially in a situation where it almost looks like he's on the run. It was just very surreal, to see. And I know a lot of the chatter, at least in my group chats with my friends after so many of the memes were shared, not to belie the seriousness of it, but for a lot of us that grew up in that 90s heyday listening to Bad Boy music or listening to Puffy inspired music, it was just kind of like, wow, I just never would have guessed when I was in college bopping to some of this, that fast forward 30 years later, that this man's reputation would be completely destroyed. I mean, to me, regardless of what happens criminally, there is no coming back for Diddy at all. I mean, I think the last time we discussed this, I said as much. I think his reputation is permanently destroyed. But if he has done even a tenth of what he's accused of, I don't really have a problem with it.
Right. Seeing him walk around that airport disheveled was my first time seeing the crack in his demeanor and his armor. It's like, wow, like he had a lot of opportunities to show it earlier, but yesterday I feel like with seeing his children in handcuffs, I feel like the reality of the situation is finally actually setting in for real.
Jemele, we have less than 30 seconds here. Please close it out for us.
Well, you know what else struck me about this situation too? And it just, again, it's one of those snapshots where you're like, this is where we are in America. Here you have Diddy facing multiple, we don't know what he's facing criminally, but we do know, again, on the civil side, multiple allegations of sexual assault very degrading, dehumanizing behavior, all of that. And then at the same time, we have the leading presidential candidate for the Republican Party, who is facing 91 felony counts, who has credibly been convicted of rape in the case with E. Jean Carroll, who is facing millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees and payments that he owes for his behavior. And he's running for president. And Diddy's there in Miami circling a building, trying to figure out how his life fell apart. And just the juxtaposition of that really struck me when I was watching yesterday. I was like, so I guess Diddy should have just been running for president.
I know we out of time, you know what I mean? Thank you, Neighborhood Race Lady. But I run the social media account, so I see all the hatred that comes your way.
Friendly Neighborhood Race Lady.
I see all the hatred that comes your way, and I want to say, from the community, we admire you and we love you, sis. So thank you so much for representing us in the right way all the time.
I appreciate that. Thank you all for having me. And now I'm going to get out of my hostage closet and go catch this flight.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate the time, Jemele. Didn't answer.
Keep dodging the tough questions.
Didn't answer the hard-hitting question, though. Never did. Coward journalist. I really do think we're sitting in the center of gambling normalization. Here comes a sort of chaos that can't be policed to sports. And I'm glad that Amin Al-Hassan, who has worked in an NBA front office.
Think it's being policed. I mean, again, as a totally unbiased party on a show that is proudly presented by our friends over at DraftKings, this is it being policed. Where is this take? Because you're not the only one guilty of it. Where is this take coming from? That this is some out-of-control problem when we only find out about it when it's being controlled.
Okay, I don't know what that sound was at the end of that.
It's just this is the process working.
I'm glad that Amin Al-Hassan is in town because he can walk us through what I believe is the process working that ends up making the story that's in front of us on a Michael Porter brother I did not know exist until
That's
yesterday.
how he should be mentioned, by the way.
Until he serves as an avatar for me on, okay, so whatever the gambling quote-unquote problem is going to be, that's going to be the most overt of it. We've got cash coming in on an under that is not just suspicious, but guilty. So, Amin, walk us through the mechanics of the business and everything happening as sports gets involved with gambling, because the details of this are the most overt thing we've seen since the 1919 Black Sox scandals of, this guy did this. He just went out with an eye ailment that no one believes in because he can and doesn't even fake his way through fixing his numbers in this game.
So I would say that Headache Smith at Arizona State in the 90s was bigger than this for sure, because that was actually a guy who was really good and could impact lines and stuff like that. I would also agree with Mike that it's like saying, oh man, someone got caught robbing, like, we're not doing anything. It's like, well, no, that's the whole point. That's the point of policing, is that there's a police that catches people doing things. It's not that it's going to be zero. And by the way, we're speaking from a very American point of view, because gambling has been integrated into European and other international sports for decades. Like the idea of having a sports book in your venue, that's normal in Europe. Here we're like, oh my God, the Wizards opened a sports book in their venue that's 3 or 4 years ago, and people fainted. But like, just because it's new to us doesn't mean it's new.
But we're repressed about our American sports stuff, and so this is the world coming to American sports, and of course there's going to be pearl clutching. What do you mean? This is where sportsmanship exists and amateurism, and this isn't where business is. We're pure about our sports. Respect our sports.
So, with regards to, is gambling a problem? Or not gambling a problem? Is this type of behavior a problem? I don't think so, because for the most part, what's the incentive for the inside man to go along with it? What's the incentive?
Money,
right? So when you look at the players, by and large, now I know Jontay Porter is a two-way guy, not making a gajillion dollars, and more importantly, not having the kind of longevity that would indicate, oh, man, if I just keep doing this, I'm going to make a lot of money over the span of my career.
He can end his career, but he could also make $1 million in a night.
Yeah, but like that doesn't move the needle, right? Like, so people say, for instance, Rudy Gobert was trying to insinuate that referees are in on this. It makes no sense for an NBA referee to be in on something like this, because if you do a good job as an NBA referee, your career is going to be 10, 15, 20 years of just making this money and having a very well-to-do lifestyle, right? For most NBA players, they're making the type of money that you're saying $1 million. You think there's somebody out there who gave him $1 million?
I'm just saying that on this kind of bet, I thought the prop numbers on this, right? You can only bet certain amounts on props. So I would like to know what's true and what's not true about that being DraftKings' biggest winner in a night. Like, you could game the system in a night if you're a player fixing it with a certain amount of money that would make it worth Michael Porter's brother I didn't know about until last night to say, I don't think they'll catch me doing this, and I can make a few $1 million in a night.
Allegedly.
Well, Calvin Ridley, in terms of name recognition, is generally an outlier. And if you see like the alleged crime that he committed, the volume isn't such. But those are typically the tier of player you go after in these. While many in our audience may not know it, over the last decade, close to 200 professional tennis players were implicated in a gambling ring, and they were the lower tier players because they were deemed the most corruptible.
They're the most corruptible because they don't make money, right?
They're also the most expendable, too. Like, if you're going to send a message with lower tier players where it's kind of like, hey, look what couldn't happen to you.
Are you speaking to the Ohtani conspiracy theory?
No.
Free Ipe, by the way. But but to your point, you said earlier, you can have a long career as an NBA referee, but that doesn't mean you didn't have a bad night one night, and now you owe this bookie or somebody on your ass for this big amount of money. So it might behoove you to make a big bet tonight.
Allegedly.
But I guess my thing is, it's so easily detectable, I think. Like, people know. Like,
with a more legalized standard, yes.
Yeah, like it's easily detectable. Like there's something happening here that's weird, right? And
which is we saw it a couple of weeks ago in the Temple basketball game. As they made a run, they were embroiled in this. Hey, what is this very weird volume?
So because they can see the money coming in, right? Same thing with this situation. We saw the money coming in. Same thing with Tim Donaghy. Like we saw, and it was just his games. That was a smoking gun that Netflix documentary never, ever acknowledged. The only ones that had action were the ones that he reffed. He was trying to allege that all these refs are doing it. But when you look at the numbers, the only ones that had a bunch of action on it were the ones that he was reffing because he was the one.
I mean, if you're bringing us the perspective of Headache Smith, okay, a 90s basketball player who was a star player and gambling that way, where you've bought a star player, this seems to be like more easier, guaranteed money if you can get a prop under and tilt the scales to make an amount of money to be DraftKings' biggest wager of the night in one night by buying one player who's willing to go out of a game with an eye injury. You can make more money and control your results a lot better than trying to bet on Headache Smith controlling an entire game.
I would argue, first of all, Headache was easier to get to because he was paid $0 as a collegiate basketball player versus Jontay Porter, who's making some money, right? But at the end of the day, there are limits to how much you can put on props. There are limits, like when you say it was their most popular bet of the night. That wasn't one person coming in, but give me $12 million on Jontay Porter.
No, you can't do it that way on a prop bet.
That's what I'm saying.
But you can bet,
a lot of books limit.
But you can bet an amount of money to make it a significant amount of money that can buy a fringe NBA player.
I doubt that can be a long-term thing.
I don't
it's just
think
not worth the squeeze.
No, you may see isolated incidents, and those bets typically have a volume that'll raise several flags. And I do think that while you mentioned the UK, it's so heavily regulated over there, and it's taken several evolutions. And I think here in the United States, certain books here in the state of Florida, there's a compact that states if you go to that gambling platform, you can't bet college props. And there are different ways around this, different evolutions of this. Books maybe make a stance. You can't bet unders. You can't take college props on certain books have already made that stance depending on the bylaws on how they got legalized there. I think we'll ultimately get better and better with this stuff.
Better with an E.
Yeah, well, even people betting by proxy, the data does not lie. A suspicious action on a game sticks out like a sore thumb to these entities, and they share that information immediately.
I think that we looking at it into it a lot deeper than it probably is. I think it's a bonehead move by a young man who made a bad decision. I'm pretty sure as an executive in the NBA, you've had a whole bunch of guys make bonehead moves over the years.
Yeah, not a gambling style, but yes.
Damn. We almost got him. I was not familiar with your game, sir. That was almost got our guy.
If a young player did have a gambling problem, how would they have done it? I mean,
I guess like Jontay Porter. I'm
allegedly.
But I just because the other thing also is just like it's the weirdest prop bet in the world. Like I want to bet the unders on Jontay Porter. Like automatically DraftKings is about
the teller's like who?
No, yeah, like hold on for a second.
But do we know how much money is involved with the bets? Like that part matters. I feel like we can make it about nothing.
The detail that we know is that it was the single biggest moneymaker in terms of prop action
of that day.
And the red flag is it's not just an over-under on a prop bet, but the over-under is so small. It's not an over-under on a 6.5. It's an over-under on a 0.5 or a 1.5.
One other thing to that point, Greg, is if this were a sophisticated gambling operation behind the scenes, the move can't be, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start the game, and then I'm going to go, ow! I've got to go back to bubble guts. I've got to go back to
This begs the question. If you were a gambler and you were in the NBA and you were getting away with it, how would you go with it?
It's such a good question. It's such a good question because this is the worst way. My tummy hurts or my eye hurts what's worse than that? What's a lamer, more obvious way to fake your way out of a game than my eye hurts or my tummy hurts?
Punch somebody. Just turn around and haul off and not do the Draymond. Just choke somebody out 16 seconds into the game.
It's okay. It's not a smart crime because there are going to be questions after the game, but it's less lame than my eye hurts.
I think the bubble guts one got me better. The eye hurt because apparently he has had an eye issue. So he was leaning on this, hey, guys, remember that time I messed up my eye? Like, it's still acting up. But to say, oh, that Kung Pao chicken doesn't agree with me, like, that's kind of hilarious.
What are your thoughts on bigger balls in the NBA? Bigger balls in the NBA to mitigate the guys. I'm not going for this thing. I understand anything, but
he wants to fix the league.
You know how in the WNBA they have smaller balls?
Not fix it with gambling.
In the NBA, we're jacking up all these shots from way downtown, and we can mitigate that by just making the ball a little bit bigger. So the likelihood that you make it, because we're shooting the balls at historic clips right now, it goes down somewhat, and then people realize, let me get closer to this hoop because this ball is a little bit bigger now.
I think it's a terrible idea.
What's your idea for fixing the game?
Have you ever seen?
Just trying to solve problems here.
You know that NBA players in the offseason work out with these things called medicine balls that are like larger than a basketball and much heavier?
Oh, that's it. I didn't even think about making it a medicine ball. It seems like they're plenty of practice there and they don't have an issue with it.
Medicine balls don't dribble well, though.
Not good bouncers, no.
They're good for shooting, though.
Make it heavier. Make it bigger and heavier.
Bigger balls. 2024.
Bigger, heavier balls.
I mean, what about my good idea? Limit each team to 10 3-point shots a game. That way, you not only limit threes,
this is a new and improved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
What if I'm behind by 15 going into the fourth quarter?
This man consistently makes me think about baseball, makes me happy to think about baseball. I associate him with baseball more than a great many players who have ever played the game, and I'm sure that's one of his greatest legacy prides. Tim Kurkjian is also a friend of the show, friend of mine, and he has had an unspeakably hard time that he would never complain about publicly at home because to do so would be undignified, but he has dealt with grief and loss and stuff that really hurts. And I was thrilled the other day when he called me and he told me that he was starting a podcast with his son, Jeff. Is this a great game or what? New episodes are going to be every Tuesday. He is late to the podcast game. His background is and he doesn't know how technology works. But for him to be able to do this with his son late in his career reminds me of what I was able to do with my father on television. And so I was just really happy for Tim that you will get to spend a day a week with your son talking baseball, because that sounds, if you asked me, how Tim Kurkjian would want his grandfatherly years to go if he had imagined them 40 years ago. What do you mean I get to talk baseball with my kid one day a week and they're going to pay me for it?
Right. And that's exactly why I'm doing this, Dan. And the reason I'm doing it is because it's my son and I love him. He's also a genius, a magician with technology. So I tweeted the other day for like the first time in 2 years because I'm so bad at it. But he set up the whole tweet for me, which included video. I couldn't have done that in a million years. So he set it up for me on my phone. And he said, Dad, on Monday morning, all you have to do is press this button, post, and then you'll be on. Otherwise, because friends of mine said, how did you know how to do that? The answer is, I don't know how to do anything. So he is helping me through that. I will provide baseball content, and he will provide content on all sorts of other things, since I only know about baseball and a little bit about basketball and nothing else.
Let me explain something else to you, Kurkjian. What your son will be able to do is cash in on Grandpa's brand in baseball from every angle, because he simply knows how to use Twitter. The crew here is laughing at you, Tim. Juju and Tony are laughing at you because you think he's a technological genius because he can clip something.
Nah, you snitching, Dan.
Because he can type stuff on the tweet and then send it, I think, is the
Don't give him
technological
access to your
genius
bank
part.
accounts. You know what I mean,
I'm just laughing
Tim?
at this man's background. Like, what's behind this curtain that's so
Tim,
bad?
Tim, it's not because your son's a genius. It's because you're a fool.
I'm an idiot. I'm the first one to tell you that. I don't know anything. And he's in country music talk. And he's thrown, country, I called it country western music until about 3 months ago, when he finally said, Dad, that's not what it's called anymore. It's country music. So I'm going to learn something about that. Among many things, while we do this show. So it's not just going to be pure baseball, me telling stories. It's going to be back and forth, me and my son. And hopefully I'll learn something from all the things that he knows that I know.
Well, hopefully Jeff will learn something from our show, because when it's called Is This a Great Game or What, the name of it should be, I'm going to take what's left of Grandpa's money or Grandpa's knowledge, or that he is going to use the Kurkjian brand to branch out into podcasts when you normally don't care about podcasts. Certainly you don't listen to them, and you don't know how to download them.
I don't know how to download them. I don't know how to listen to them. I don't know how to do anything. And you're right. I'm trying to help my son, who, by the way, doesn't need any help. He's doing really well in Philadelphia as a morning talk show, country music host. I'm just doing this because it's something I always wanted to do. He's my son. We have great chemistry. We have great fun together. And that's the only reason I'm doing it. If he cashes in on me, if we make any money on this, he's getting it, not me. I don't care about that.
All right, I want to get in the bidding. For this podcast. I don't know if I can buy it from ESPN. It's kind of, you're just announcing it. This might be tampering, but I'd like to get in on bidding on whatever it is this podcast becomes, because on one of the episodes, you called me the other day and you were giggling. The one time I put you and Mike Shore together at microphones, you talked for 50 straight minutes in a way on South Beach Sessions that people found delightful. One of your first podcasts is going to be him and you just geeking out on the passion of baseball, right? People love listening to you on baseball, and you're like a kid opening baseball cards when you talk to Mike Shore.
Right. And we open baseball cards on several segments where they just open a card and my son says, all right, tell the story about this guy. Mike Shore was so great. I told him we'll only need 20 to 30 minutes. We went 45. We could have gone 4 hours and 45 minutes. And that's how great he was. It wasn't even, Dan, a question and answer period. It was a three-way conversation between three people who love baseball, two of us who are unhealthily addicted to the game. And Mike told me about 3 stories that I've never heard before. And I do this for a living, and he knows stuff that I don't know about baseball. It's embarrassing, but it was so great. He told us a story where Manny Ramirez went to buy a motorcycle, and he didn't think he could afford it because it cost $95,000. So the guy said, Manny, you're a major league player. You can afford this. And he said, okay, I'll pay for it now. But I left my wallet at home. And he looked at his buddy who was standing right next to him and said, can I have $95,000? He thought he had it on him. That's one of a million stories that Mike Schur told that made me laugh out loud.
Manny wore a $60 earring and didn't seem to know the value of money because he was in the neighborhood that I had just bought a home in very early in my career. The area was just growing out. It was just beginning. It was not expensive land or homes, and he wanted to buy a house there for his family, and he asked his agent, can I afford this house here? And his agent told him, Manny, you can afford the whole bleeping neighborhood. How do you not know? How do you? But Tim, you've got all sorts of stories like that where I want to get into the Ohtani stuff with you, and I want to get into some of the elements here of how much was Ohtani relying on his translator as like an all-purpose person that he trusted with everything, including his bank accounts. But I want to talk to you about the difficulties players have in transitioning over here, because the excuse on Ohtani can't be as simple as he wasn't familiar with gambling rules and he doesn't know the difference between a DraftKings and a guy named Manny who's running a syndicate. Like the controversy is a weird one, and I don't think I totally understand what he might be guilty of here.
Right. And I'm with you too, Dan. I think we need to ask like a million more questions about this. And it really hurt yesterday that no one was allowed to ask a question. I will say, however, he was way more forthcoming than I thought he was going to be. He was angrier, more emotional, more passionate than I thought. I thought he was going to read a canned press release saying, hey, I can't talk about this. We'll talk about it at the proper time. There's an investigation going on. Instead, there were times I felt like he looked up from his script and actually spoke to us. And I think he deserves certainly a little bit of credit for doing that. Now, however, we still have a zillion questions like, how could he not know that $4.5 million was taken from him? How could he not know that his interpreter was doing something like this? Maybe rich people do this all the time. These are the questions I still need to know. But I will tell you, for the most part, and maybe this is my nature, I believed most of what he said yesterday, and others have told me I am completely wrong about that. But I don't know how he could not know what was going on, and those are the questions that need to be answered.
Here's the problem with you, Kurkjian, and your eternal niceness. Everyone can get away with everything because the whole steroid thing happened right under your nose. You're a journalist, and the whole thing happened right under your nose. So you're like, I believe Ohtani. The truth is, I do too, but they can get away with anything on your watch, Kurkjian, because you love the sport too much. Look at him. Look how disappointed he is with it. He's. Are you mad at me? Did I just actually enrage Tim Kurkjian?
No, it happened under your nose too.
Tell his ass.
It happened under everyone's nose.
Wow.
The best investigative reporters in the game didn't know this was going on. Look, I'm not going to make any excuses for me. I missed the story badly, as we all did. But you can't just be covering the game, asking a baseball question, and then say, oh, are you doing steroids? It just doesn't work that way. When they brought Mark Fainaru-Wada in, and he went undercover for 2 years. That's how you get the story. That's how you figure this out. No excuses. I missed it. I missed a lot of things. That's the way it works.
I've got a two-pronged question, though, because you know more about history and perspective in this realm than a great many of the people who cover anything, never mind just baseball. The weirdness of what happened with an interview that then looked like a cover-up that then becomes massive theft and makes all of this so much worse because you've got a disavowed interview. Can you please take me through where this ranks for you in terms of weird scandal, at least in part because of that weird interview situation?
Yeah, this is the strangest, most confusing, most confounding story that I think I've seen in the 44 years that I have covered. And mainly because, A, we're talking about not just the biggest star in the game, we're talking about the biggest athletic star in sports today and one of the greatest stars in the history of baseball. And Dan, I have never seen a story change as quickly as it did in a 24-hour period from this is what Shohei did. Oh, no, it's a massive theft. That's what confused me. And that's why we're on this and why we need to get to the bottom of it with a million more questions. But I know I have slapped my forehead 100 times since this story came out. What happened here? Who can explain this? And we still don't have an explanation, but I still think we got at least a little bit of clarity yesterday that we didn't have the day before.
One of the big things, Tim, yesterday that confused me, I guess, was kind of when he was telling the story, and if you go by the timeline of how things have been going on, right? Because the fact that is that it was going on in two different countries at the same time, right? In different time zones or whatever. But I think at one point he said yesterday, I didn't really think anything was amiss until after Ipe was talking to the entire clubhouse. He was saying it in English, and I realized something's off here. The thing that I thought was a little strange about that is by the timeline, unless I'm wrong, at that point, Ipe had already conducted the interview. It had been disavowed. And, I just don't understand how no one else in Shohei's camp said anything to him. Like, hey, something's going on here. It took until after that conversation in the clubhouse and then a one-on-one conversation the two of them allegedly had in a hotel where he said, okay, something's actually on. How was no one else in his team kind of telling him, hey, something's happening here. You should be paying attention to this.
Yes, I'm with you, Billy. Someone should have prepped him before the interpreter addressed the team and said, here's what he's planning on saying in English. We will translate for you if you don't understand, but Shohei understands more English than most people think. That goes for Ichiro and a lot of other guys who've come over. They just choose not to speak because it can get them in more trouble than good. But I'm with you on that. That's one of many things that I can't comprehend. How is he hearing this for the first time when they're having this club out meeting and he's standing there listening to what the guy is saying? Someone should have prepped him in advance.
Tim, I'm from the hood, and this is a simple case to me. I see it with my eyes closed. I got a homeboy. He took a charge from my homeboy. He has a lot of money. He said, if I ever get messed up, will you take this charge from me? And he took the charge on the chin. He got 2 years left on his sentence. I think that Ipe is just a stand-up friend, and he's getting too much piled on him right now, and they had this already planned out, but this is the road he signed up for. What do you say to that, Brother Tim?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, as we know in the NBA, which I love, by the way, there's the difference between a block and a charge is really difficult to ascertain. I think this was a block. This wasn't necessarily a charge. We have to believe one of these two guys at this point, and I am inclined to believe Shohei. Now, do I believe everything that he said? Well, I find that hard to believe everything. When he came out and said this is an absolute lie, he better be right about that. I never bet on baseball. I never placed a bet. Look, the federal government knows all about this inquiry, or they will. If he lied, his career is going to be over one way or another. So I just can't believe he would come out and tell a bald-faced lie when already the feds are on this. That's the way it was explained to me yesterday by a lawyer who didn't necessarily believe everything that Shohei said, but said he was well prepared for that interview or that statement that he made.
That's the part of this, Tim, that I think is confusing, right? Because I do not believe that an MLB investigation is going to turn up anything that's going to have actual implications for Shohei. Just because I think that this is a different time than Pete Rose, for example, right? Where baseball is now a business. And if your biggest star is putting your business in a position, are you going to side with business or integrity, right? So they can say, oh, we looked, nothing turned up. But when you start lying in a federal investigation, you need to see it through. He has to now say this man stole $4.5 million from me, and he has to send his friend to jail or he's going to be in trouble. It felt like what happened was, and this is just a theory, hey, you're in trouble here, I got you. Oh, wait, no, that might be illegal what you're doing. Right. We're flipping it on you, but now he has to kind of ride this entire thing out, correct?
Allegedly. $4 million is nothing for me. Tim, you could speak to this part of it as well, because you have the history of knowing what these translators do, while Ohtani's life is the strangest in all of baseball. in terms of what surrounds him. Media members just following him everywhere, and the translator acting, in some cases, as a 24-hour concierge who introduces you to a different culture so that you can concentrate on your business. Can you speak to how unique this relationship is, and whether or not a friend would just take the hit on something like that? Because
concierge.
I think you're talking about traffic cones. A
Put
person
an
who knows
accente
traffic.
over the O.
Concierge.
Concierge. No, it's concierge.
Le Batard.
All right, Dan, I'll attempt to answer this. Daniel Kim used to be a translator for the Mets. And he has come out and said, as a translator, he did virtually everything for his players. He opened up bank accounts for them. He handled their utility bills. He went to the cleaners for them. These guys come over here and they need help on everything. And the FAs of the world help in every single way. But I still don't understand how someone could be this helpful and still allegedly take this kind of money, and no one knows about it. That's the part that I need questions answered.
Tim, what if in my most utopian, naive form I was to present to you the following idea? It's really hard for Ohtani to be great at baseball and transition culturally. Wow, he did both of those things well. Is his translator somebody like a legion of people in his economy who exists to simply help him with everything so that he doesn't have to be a grown adult who learns America but just gets to be sports star who knows baseball? Is it possible that Shohei Ohtani only crime here is being super, super trusting of somebody who had a gambling problem and just covered him $4 million because currency doesn't even matter to him? He makes so much money.
Right. He made $100 million last year, Dan, with endorsements and salary. And yes, I think that's his biggest mistake here is he was too trusting and he was too naive and he didn't know what was going on when he should have. But I think you presented it perfectly. He comes here and says, I'm going to be the most remarkable baseball player ever. But the only way to do that is to be completely regimented when I get to the ballpark and have everything already done for me when I get here so I can be the most disciplined player in the world so I can pitch and hit like nobody else in the history of baseball. I think he gave it to his interpreter and said, you need to handle the rest of this. I don't have time for this. I have to sleep 10 hours a day. I have to get to the ballpark. I have to hit. I got to throw a bullpen. And I think that's what happened here. That's my guess. We're all guessing still. But yes, is that plausible? Yes, I think it is.
Not only that, though, Tim, you're uniquely qualified to talk about this part of it. And this is where I think you can offer an insight to how it is something this strange and stupid can happen. Tim, you're the only person that I know who has the words and the respect of history who can explain to us how hard it is to do what Ohtani is doing. The greatness of that, how it is you can't do that part-time because you're just really good at baseball. That how hard it is for him to master and excel at that must require a regimen that we have no understanding of and would require a team of people to make him a baseball-playing toddler who is great but might not know how to exist in this country around fame and temptation.
Right. Dan, you're right. He throws a baseball 100 miles an hour. He hits baseballs thrown at him at 100 miles an hour. And his exit velocity, not my favorite term, is well over 100 miles an hour when he really swings the bat well. And he can fly on the bases. So he recognizes that nobody else can do this. But the only way that he can do all of those things is to give everything else in his life to somebody else. And it angered some of the Angel writers in his 6 years there that he rarely spoke to them. He would only speak after games in which he pitches. Well, he did that because he needed to keep his focus. I'm certainly not defending him. But if you're going to do something that no one else in the history of baseball has done, you're going to have to go out about things a little differently. You can't just do everything by yourself. You need someone to do virtually everything for you away from the field.
But we're also like infantilizing him, right? Like we're kind of like we like him, so we're giving him passes on a lot of things. Like he had a wife that no one knew existed. He had a dog that he just refused to tell anyone of the dog's name. Like he likes to be secretive too. Like it's capable. He just likes to be a private guy. Not he can't focus on anything but baseball. He could just be really good at baseball.
Well, what's most probable here? What is most probable? Is it your theory that there's total innocence or Billy's cynicism that stop making this a child who doesn't know anything? I'm just speaking to how hard I'd have it in Japan. Like if you put me in Japan right now, I'm 55. I couldn't get something out of a vending machine. Like I'd be Mike, what do I like if you put me in Japan, I'm 30 years older than Ohtani. And I'm not great at things that he's great at.
You've got enough problems in this country.
You don't speak Japanese?
Does Shohei need Major League Baseball? Because it feels like Major League Baseball needs Shohei more than he needs Major League Baseball.
Bar.
Look, Shohei needs Major League Baseball. All he's ever wanted to do is be the greatest player who's ever played, and he needs Major League Baseball to do that. And I'm with you, Dan. I'm 40 years older than him. And I went to a restaurant bar the other day where I had to order something, a beer, off the menu, and I couldn't order it because it had one of those little things in the right-hand corner that I had to put my phone up next to. I didn't even know how to order a beer at a restaurant. I had to ask the waitress, how does this work? She said, well, put your phone up. I said, can you just get me a Miller Lite? Because I don't know how to do this. She said, okay.
Hell yeah, 96 calories.
To tell the audience why they should listen to your new podcast, because it is an honor. I told you this earlier this week. To see you doing this with your son, Jeff, and to the degree you wish to share with our audience, which cares about you deeply, about how hard your last 10 years have been and why it is you might have an appreciation for this project that you didn't have 10 years ago, I'd like my audience to know that they should support Is This a Great Game or What? Because Tim is insistent about doing some things he's learned later in life that he hasn't learned earlier in life because he's been chasing a baseball around all his life and he doesn't know how to do anything and he doesn't know what a barcode is.
Right. In a bar. I don't know what a barcode is. I'm doing a podcast with my son because I've always wanted to do this. And I hesitate to say this, Dan, but we're going to try to make it a little bit like your show. It's going to be a bit of a pirate ship, except we're going to try to make people comfortable on it as opposed to uncomfortable. For instance, we have Chris Young, the general manager of the Rangers, as our guest on our second episode. And instead of asking him, hey, can the Rangers repeat? Or when is Max Scherzer coming back? We asked him about the free throw shooting contest that he got in when he was playing for the Padres. Chris Young, of course, played basketball at Princeton. He told a hilarious story. I asked him about being the tallest guy ever to hit a triple in a major league game. He told us that story. We were laughing out loud. After that, we have John Smoltz on. And instead of asking him, tell us how great Greg Maddux was, we asked him about golf because it's running during Masters Week. So he explained his 11 holes in one. He explained pitching to Tiger Woods in a simulated game that I happened to be at 15 years ago. He explained how he was 5 shots ahead behind Jeff Francoeur going into 18, his dear friend, and beat him by 5 shots. He took a 4 and Francoeur took a 14. Those are the kind of questions we're asking. This is going to be joyful. This is going to be playful. There's no heavy lifting. There's no breaking news. We're going to have a good time with two people who love the game and who love each other, as corny as that sounds.
We love you, too. You know this. Let's see if we give him a couple of these on the way out. Are you guys ready? This feels... Are you ready?
Wonderful energy by you, though.
Well, especially with the setup.
The reason I'm trying to build up, but lower expectations as well. Those are difficult things to do together. Does Baker Mayfield look? Hold on a second.
Wait, we're off to a good start, though.
Does Baker Mayfield look like the bartender at a TGI Fridays who doesn't know how to work the TV remote when you ask to change the channel? Does Gardner Minshew look like he doesn't count the days, but rather makes the days count?
Oh, okay.
Does Bruce Pearl look like he takes his son-in-law's side during the divorce from his daughter? Does Brian Daboll look like Kurt Angle's brother, Burt Angle?
That's good.
That is the good. That last
true.
one is good. He does. He looks like Burt
It's
Engel.
true.
He loses every time he wears beige shorts. He's not Burt Engel's no good.
Damn true.
Dan, before I go, just tell me one more. No, wait. Adnan called me the other day. Please give me the Adnan looks like, please.
Okay, I don't know if I could do it off the top of my head, but Adnan Virk. I have to handle some family matters, some personal family matters that are soon going to take me out of the show for a little bit, and I don't want to do it before getting to a handful of things. I want to replenish myself with the medicine of what is good content around here before I leave, and I want to ask you, Greg Cody, to help me with this because we have some video of this is Mighty Mouse, right? Demetrius Johnson, and I want to tell the people who might not understand the fighting game that if the fighting game were fair and just, instead of I don't know, Jake Paul or Mike Tyson or anybody getting the money, Mighty Mouse, pound for pound, you can make the argument, is the greatest fighter we've ever seen anywhere in the world because he's tiny and it doesn't make any sense that no one can ever hurt him. And there are more ways to hurt him than there were to hurt Floyd Mayweather. It's a bit crazy. And so, Tony, you can speak to this better than me, but this video is in no way surprising to me because Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, would kick everybody's ass who's in front of him, no matter their size or weight. But I think this might be surprising to people, this video.
Yeah, so what it is this is actually an open weight class jiu-jitsu competition that Mighty Mouse is a part of, and Mighty Mouse has competed about a 135 bantamweight for basically his entire career. And the guy that he's fighting, as you can see on screen, is 6'3", 250 some odd pounds. So it would be basically a heavyweight versus a bantamweight in a open jiu-jitsu match. And it takes, so this video is actually about 6 to 7 minutes long. And for the first 5 minutes, it's Mighty Mouse trying to figure out exactly where to get this guy down. And the guy's ragdolling him, throwing him around. Then Mighty Mouse finally gets him on the floor, climbs on him like you could see here, like I don't even know what he's doing here. It's incredible to see a guy that size, and Mighty Mouse is 38, so like he's towards the tail end of his fighting career. Still being able to do stuff like this is incredible.
One of the ways that Jake Paul has been so smart about reinventing how you make money in that game is that once upon a time you could have made the argument Anderson Silva was the best pound for pound in the history of the sport. And so when Jake Paul beats him, it seems like he's beating somebody who's credible and legitimate, but he was never known for his boxing prowess. I mean, he could also strike.
A great striker.
No, he was great by that sports standard.
But he was also an incredible kickboxer.
He was a strike. He could be a striker, but he wasn't a boxer, and he wasn't a boxer, and he had punching power, but he didn't have a boxer's punching power, and he was close to 50. Now Mike Tyson is 57. But this is what I've always liked about them.
I love the OnlyFans on Mighty Mouse's gi, by the way.
We actually spoke to Mighty Mouse. You can go check that out on our YouTube page, and he was talking about his OnlyFans, how he trains. He kind of basically puts everything behind a paywall of how he trains, how he eats, the things that he gets ready for, and it's probably on that.
This is like a sports bar discussion if you just totally overlook the fact that they're both brown belts. This is like, it's one thing if Mighty Mouse can take down a 250-pound, 6'3" dude, and you'd probably have like arguments in sports bars or barber shops that he's just good because look at him, he's small. But if he gets up against a real big tough guy, he's done. According to that sport, they are the same level.
And it opens almost the conversation of that we always have with fighters. Hey, how long would it take you to do X to X person? And Mighty Mouse, it's like, oh, I'm 5'7", 135 pounds, and I'll beat a guy that's 6'3", 250 in about 7 minutes.
Oh, but do you guys know, do you understand here? This one has hurt me. It's actually hurt because Mike got a lot of flack for being the guy who was finally out on the Cleveland Browns because, come on, we can't be that despicable. Not that despicable. What I've always loved about, never mind UFC, mixed martial arts, when I was watching it, when the way they would do it is some guy was coming to the octagon and he was carrying an actual crucifix, a giant, the stupidity of it was so heavy, and he was gassed by the time that he got to the octagon. But I've loved sort of the dirty elements of, we're going to test the Brazilian martial arts. We're going to test the Gracie family in the sewer.
Oh, that was, look, I've learned a lot. but as an impressionable teenager, the open weight early days of the Ultimate Fighting Championship,
guy wearing shoes.
where it was mixed martial arts in that you had all these different disciplines combining into one competition. But if you were like, I practiced Kempo karate at the time, if you were pounding the table for your discipline, you actually got to see these fights play out. A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu against a stand-up Kempo karate fighter. There was this Canadian that was just a wet blanket of Kempo karate skill that would get in the way of dream matchups. And you had wrestling backgrounds like Ken Shamrock go in, and you legitimately had dream matchups of different styles. And then the sport evolved to the point that you needed, in order to get anywhere in that sport, you needed to know all the martial arts mixed.
When we just saw put something on screen, if we could put that B-roll again of like early days in the UFC where a guy is wearing shoes, running out there, and a guy with a gi who obviously knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Funny you talk about crucifix. The guy puts him in a crucifix, hits him with 3 elbows, and it was over.
Well, they will be able to find. Go ahead and find for me the most primitive of whoever that guy was. I don't even think he was a good fighter, but what I'm telling you about what I've always loved about that sport and the heartbreaking parts of letting it go, because I've had to let it go, and I loved the arts tested against each other. And if you go back to
you've let the sport go, huh?
You can come back on MMA Hangout anytime you want. You know there's an open invitation for you, Dan, right?
I've got my virtues. I signal them from time to time.
It's hard to let it go.
I still can't quit this sport. I have so many issues with it. UFC, biggest game in town, total monopoly over this sport, and they have fights that I'll overlook things that I can't overlook in my day-to-day life because I just find a way to put it in a silo.
Dan, when Sean O'Malley hit Cheeto Vera with that knee, that sounded like a baseball bat crack, and Cheeto didn't even fall. He just moved his head back and put it back up. Like, that was incredible.
I am telling you, Stugotz is always making fun of me about how much I love boxing. I'm fighting expert, alleged fighting expert. It's like the one thing I care about in terms of the beauty of sports. Wait a minute.
You were on the Foreman beat.
Wait a minute. You're going to tell me that I can test all the fighting styles against each other for baddest man on the planet, and the earliest incarnations of this sport, they had so many fewer rules about safety. It was the most savage thing. Never mind John McCain calling it cockfighting. Before that, it was the most primitive. It was dogfighting for humans.
It felt like it should have been illegal.
It should have been illegal.
And they fixed the sport, thankfully, to where it's a lot safer for what it is. Introduction of more weight classes being the biggest possible thing for that sport. But Demetrius Johnson is just that good.
Badass. He's an absolute badass. And the way that you see his career, he's moved from the UFC, he's now in one championship over in Asia.
Which has affected his legacy because he's not in the main show. I mean, he was for a good amount of time.
What affects his legacy? But wait a minute. What affects his legacy is we're only going to respect you so much. The world, if you're a $130. Like, we're not going to actually make you baddest man in the world if you weigh 130 pounds.
I mean, I just saw Conor McGregor get a starring role. Like, the UFC will do that.
And I just saw Floyd Mayweather buy the whole Gucci store, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's the one championship versus the UFC. Like, him not getting along with Dana has hurt his name from being brought up consistently in these conversations.
I understand what you're saying about Floyd because obviously he made a lot of money and he did it the most amazing way, undented, playing defense in the fighting game. Like, it's ridiculous. The point of to not get hit, and he made all that money doing that. But we will only respect you so much as a fighter unless you're Ngannou. The thing we respect the most is, can you knock someone out with one strike? Not are you the best grappler in the world? Can with one strike you fell any person? Like that's where Mighty Mouse suffers from. You've got to have some size on you to have the amount of menace that this requires to be baddest man in the world.
Yeah, the Mike Tyson type.
And funny now, you look at it, Anthony Joshua knocks out Francis Ngannou 3 times in a row, knocks him out of the canvas, knocks him out cold. Francis Ngannou said in the second round he had no idea he was fighting. He was just kind of standing there like, oh, wait, I'm in a fight. And we've always talked about Anthony Joshua been like a great boxer, but kind of never really takes that next step to be best of the world. And it feels like you look at Francis Ngannou, who took Tyson Fury to the judges' scorecards, and it's like, man, you look at those guys, how big they are, and it's impressive. Where you look at Mighty Mouse and you see him do something against a guy 6'3", 250 pounds, you're like, oh, that's cute.
Amin is back. I am grateful for his presence. Oddball every day except for Monday. Oddball is, I love that commercial you did. I mean, Oddball, I can feel it getting stronger and stronger.
Yes, it's only a matter of time.
Yo. Jesus.
And then we get bigger.
I'm waiting for you to be a bigger oddball. I am. I want bigger balls around here in general. There is something, though.
Oddball is positively throbbing right now.
And you know it.
Caleb
Stealing my material.
Caleb Williams, we could have used it at the end of the last segment. We could have used a stray and you know it as Tony lost track of the clock and just started talking about mixed martial arts in a way that was too serious.
Back in my day today, or
Is there back in my day?
There is actually.
What?
Were you not going to tell anyone?
What?
Wait a minute.
You guys,
Guys, how long have I been doing this
it's
show?
a Tuesday.
Seriously.
I don't understand.
Wait, we've got to do that. There was also, I got to get to Caleb Williams. There's news breaking with Caleb Williams. I've got to get to. Greg Cody is mad at Tim Kurkjian and me because Tim Kurkjian's podcast with his son just got so much promotion.
Seriously, I mean, the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody and Chris Cody invented the Father and Son podcast. And yet I can't get a shout out on this show. I mean, I'm sitting right here.
He's got a point. Mark Jackson has a podcast with his son now.
Seriously.
This is all the rage now. Father-son podcast.
Where are my royalty checks at?
Okay, he's mad at Tim Kurkjian. We'll get to that in just a second. We've got to update our March Sadness tournament as well. But I was hugely surprised, and I don't know the discomforts of this. Juju, are you surprised in any way that Amin's father watches this show? And Amin's an adult. He's a front office person. Look at Billy yawning right there. Our parents, nobody here.
It's unrelated
No,
to this.
our parents here do not watch what we're doing here. Amin, with a grandfathered aged parent who I don't know why he would be watching this show or his son at all. And I certainly can't see him understanding what you're doing here, throwing away your career.
Wouldn't he be a aged father?
No, he's grandfather age. He's
Really?
a grandfather.
Is that right?
Greg's right.
Thank you.
But my guess is, how old is your dad? How old is your dad?
My dad's about your dad's age.
So he's almost 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a dad's age too.
Yeah,
You
he's still a
guys-
dad, yeah.
Well, you got to be. It's kind of a prereq.
Why don't you just say the age rather than just confuse me? Because grandfathers can be very young these days.
Because Amin, even though sometimes he sounds like a child, is an old person, and his father is much older.
Just reveal the age. Kurt Russell's playing 93-year-olds out here.
Sounds like a child. That sounds like a blast.
I'm just saying, when you go to the All-Star game and get drunk and don't produce any footage, some people could
don't
say
say
that's the
that now.
behavior.
He listens to the show, Dan.
Does he watch the show only when you're on or every day?
So this is what happened. I was only.
I love the old guy. Only on Tuesdays. I love Cody and his back in my day.
Thank you.
Billy, my dad, and I don't know if your dad is of this age, but my dad is of the age where he watches YouTube videos on his phone very loudly.
My dad's not 80.
Okay. That my dad is at that age, right, where everything he watches is full blast. And so I hear it. Sometimes it's news, and sometimes it's soccer highlights, and sometimes it's something, a little funny skit or whatever. So I'm listening one day, and I'm like, these voices sound real familiar. What's he listening to? And then I realize, he's listening to us.
On a day when you weren't there?
On a day when I wasn't there. But then I thought, maybe it's just one of those videos, right? So then the other day he says, they really made fun of you about that shot, huh? And I said, what are you talking about, Father? He's like, because I thought maybe, just maybe, he just caught it off like Facebook or something like that. He's like, yeah, Dan and those guys, they were really getting into you on that. And I was like, you watch the show now? Is this a thing? Yeah. So now we have to be careful. Yeah.
CeeLo Green became a grandfather at the age of 35.
Wow.
My mommy watches this show. My mommy watches this show every day.
Does she?
Especially she watches it when I'm on it, but
Yeah,
not
my
being on
dad's
there.
the same.
Yeah.
My father would be 108. I'm just saying.
Would he watch the show?
Yeah, would he watch
Yeah,
the
he
show?
would. He is right now.
From heaven.
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland was under 40.
Wow.
I was nominated and I achieved the 40 Under 40 award with help from Roy Bellamy this year.
Wow,
Salute to
congrats.
Roy Bellamy. I
There you
never
go.
made a big deal about it, but since we're talking about 40s.
40 under
go.
40? No, that's pretty big. Again, your mom must be real proud.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
My dad is not, because I haven't been nominated other than Suey's.
I was at church the other day, and the priest said that he baptized someone and baptized their grandparents. I immediately turned to someone sitting next to me and go, he's lying. It just seems impossible.
In the church.
I did say it in the church.
Lord
If
mercy.
anything, it seems like a good place to be forgiven, right? But, like, come on.
That's
that
efficient.
was a whopper,
That's
right?
the place where you're efficient?
Yeah.
Hold on. Is that the best place to lie?
yeah. You go if you're gonna murder someone, do it right before you go to confession.
Because then it's
Boom.
just like you turn around right here.
Absolved.
Was it Father Eddie?
No, that's a whole other.
It is allegedly. I'm not sure that Juju can. You're talking about being efficient in how it is you sin, so that you can sin quickly and get it immediately absolved. So just do it in the confessional box.
Yeah.
Speaking of efficiency, we haven't gotten to any of the topics you were crunched for time on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Juju. I appreciate it. But one of them was his dad watches the show, because I'm confused by it. But let's get to Greg Cody's Back in My Day, because I didn't even know we had one of those.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cody, with Back in My Day.
Shit, I hope I have it. Okay, here it is. Sorry. Adultery.
We are back.
Waiting for this one.
Wait. By accident, what just happened? I think that's the record. Roy, for years, has been counting the amount of time that he pregnant pauses there. That was the record, because he was looking for his papers. Because he was surprised that he has a Back in My Day.
I got a lot of papers here. I'm a busy man. Adultery. First, an important disclaimer. This Back in My Day is absolutely not an essay born of personal experience. And if it were, what was the chance I'd actually admit it on a national podcast? Okay, let's be honest about something inherently dishonest. Adultery, infidelity, cheating, whatever you want to call it, was so much easier back before technology came along and ruined everything. Or rather, so I'd imagine the clandestine Casanovas would lament. Cheating was easy once. You just had to make sure you weren't doing it around friends, neighbors, or coworkers. So if you lived in Mayberry, the two of you drove up to Mount Pilot, got a corner booth at the bar, then a room at the No-Tell Motel, and called it a night. You were blessedly incommunicado. There were no cell phones allowing any busybody snoop to record or photograph you. You were completely out of touch until you dropped a dime in a payphone. There was no CCTV closed-circuit cameras spying on every movement you made, no facial ID technology, no TMZ with hired spies around every corner, no social media splaying wide everyone's personal life. Now, every text message and voicemail exchange is retrievable. You think delete search history actually does that? Ha ha, your naivete is so cute. Back in my day, you wrote a fake name in the motel guest book. The board clerk said you're in room 9, Dr. McGillicuddy, and you went on your merry way. Now there'd be an unblinking ring camera above the door ratting on you. It isn't just relationship cheats who have it tough these days. How the heck do criminals get away with anything? Snatch somebody's purse on a city street and see how fast the cops shout out closed-circuit images of you in the act all across social media with close-ups, 9 different angles, and slow motion. You think that old-timey ski mask works? There's technology to unmask you now. The day is coming when we will all have a computer chip in our noggin, allowing the law to trace and catalog our every step. The cell phone in your pocket is doing the same thing today, bugling your whereabouts 24/7. Modern-day debauchers and Lotharios have only 2 choices. You either give up your cheating ways, or you hopelessly bemoan technology and understand that today, a smartphone would be pinging your exact location in that dark corner booth as you swig your 3rd Manhattan. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Wonderful. Encore.
The No-Tell Motel, is that a Greg Cody original, or is
that's on T-shirts beginning today in the Greg Cody merch store.
Hey.
See, it's all interconnected. No, the No-Tell Motel is a known entity. Yeah, that's
a thing that people from your day, the
thing.
adulterous people from your day, would talk about. The other thing there,
allegedly,
because they don't tell.
It's a motor lodge. The motor lodge with the shuffleboard cord out front.
Do you guys know what was most back in my day about that entire thing? Because I don't think he caught that. I did not realize.
Bugling?
All right, it's the word bugle. I've never heard the word bugle used besides describing jeans.
Thank you.
The Bugle Boy.
Greg Cody remembering a time where there was a payphone that you put 10 cents into.
Yes, that's true.
I'm not familiar with that payphone.
Dan.
That payphone, I did not know it existed in this country, a payphone that took merely 10 cents.
I remember when you could put a dime in a payphone.
That's right. And if you were making a long-distance call, the operator would interrupt the call to tell you you had to deposit more money. Yeah.
Oh, I remember Carrot Top had a commercial called 1-800-COLLECT where you didn't even need no money. You just dial 1-800-COLLECT and you charge the hell out of whoever you're calling.
I just realized the concept of collect calls for a certain generation.
10-10-3-2-1.
Yeah.
Must blow their
What am I
mind.
collecting? What are they collecting? Besides money? That's it?
1-800-COLLECT. This is how it works, Tony. You pick up the phone. You don't have any money. You call 1-800-COLLECT. They say, what number are you trying to reach? I'm trying to reach 555, whatever, right? Then they say, you say your name, and you say, hey, this is Tony. And then the person on the other end would have to accept the charges for the call.
It's like a prison call.
Yes,
That's
but
exactly-
here was the
Or
trick.
you say, Bob had a baby, it's a boy.
There you go. You just say, what's your name? And you just say, "Ah, blah, 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 blah," and then you just hang up.
So then somebody else would be on another payphone somewhere?
No,
Or-
like you'll be calling someone's house.
House, okay.
Like,
How'd
"Mom,
you
come
mess
pick me up for
this up?
school.
Yep, there you go.
Can you guys find for me that Carrot Top commercial? Let's just play it unwatched, unedited. Just play as fast as you can the entirety of that Carrot Top commercial so we can see what Amin is talking about.
Oh, it's 1-800-CALL ATT.
Young Carrot Top. Oh, my God. Look at the life in his face.
He hasn't aged a day.
That's not true. You guys thought he was on a bender in Las
This is
Vegas.
before he hit the gym.
Whoa.
In confidence.
I did tell him.
In confidence. Who wasn't, by the way?
What happened with Caleb Williams?
Oh, the internet is. He was at a women's tournament game, and he flashed his painted nails and his phone case, and people are saying it appears like he's wearing lipstick, and the internet's having a go at him. The first mention is, man, Colin Cowherd's about to F this guy up tomorrow.
Salute to Caleb. I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? I like it.
No,
You like
man.
it, I love it.
It's like a very like a Russell Brand type of motif.
Look at him. Yeah, living his life. Salute to young brother.
Russell Brand, huh?
I would just say this right now. That's look at me Louis behavior. Like I'm going to a women's game. What should I wear? Lipstick and pink nails, of course, and a pink phone case.
That's Monty Williams, the original Look at Me Louie. You think that's Monty Williams' behavior?
That's solidarity.
You are just a self-involved.
Could I have that Troppy Chop concierge, please?
I have trouble with that word, and I never say maestro. I say it maestro. I say it in
Maestro.
Spanish. I say no, but it's in Spanish. I'm pronouncing it in Spanish.
Yeah, you also pronounce like the government entity that puts things in outer space after a city in the Bahamas.
That is true. Amin has left.
Nassau.
Amin has left mid-segment. I don't know where he's running off to. Maybe
That
it's,
looked like the walk of,
he had to go to the bathroom.
I'll let you know. I'm going to
felt
chat
like
with
that,
him. I'll
yeah.
let you know
All
what
right,
happens.
we will
the
get back.
toilet.
Did he
We'll
eat
track
food
him.
that was sharp? All right, you guys
Sharp?
have been
Sharp?
He took the under on his own
That's one way
minutes
to put
here.
it.
Swallower?
Man, this food is sharp.
Did he penguin walk out of here? Was it too flavorful, the food that he had?
His
Is
hair
it-
looks small.
dancing swords, as some would say.
Okay.
Thank you, Billy.
Why are you taking credit for dancing swords?
He invented that.
I invented dancing swords.
Yeah, he
You
invented
kidding
it.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and tell people what dancing swords are? And you didn't invent it. You're claiming that you invented the phrase dancing swords?
Yeah, in the context of bowel movements.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can't believe that you've invented
it's
it.
spreading.
Oh,
In the-
Juju's got to
Juju
go.
got
there.
it.
He might be going to take a QK.
Exactly.
That was
Another
a
one
cute-
I
Amin's
back, though. What a magic trick.
That was a
happening
QK.
here?
Okay.
That was a super QK.
All right, Amin, why did you have to leave? And while we're waiting for you, explain what dancing swords are, Greg Cody. You claim to have invented this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
for
I
you to
invented
claim.
dancing swords in the context of bowel movements. What happens is when your innards are gurgling to the point where you know something's about to come out like a jet stream, and you got to sit down and do it on the Ring of Honor. That's
Like when you're walking up a ladder and you feel something splatter.
Yeah, thank you.
Or
exactly.
the parlay unders are what you're trying to hit.
Right, those are dancing swords.
Is that what happened, Amin, or did you just leave because you didn't know we were on the air?
I left because we didn't know that we were on there.
Okay, why did Juju leave? Dancing swords?
I don't know. He's back.
Okay, very good. Let's continue on with the show because I've
White
got
sadness.
We're going to get to March Sadness in a second, but you guys have been promising me that Greeny had an awful basketball take, and no one shared it with me. In fact, one of you was claiming it's the worst take in the history of basketball takes, and I thought maybe with Amin here, we can get some commentary that would explain stuff better than we can explain it.
Mike Greenberg, because I guess he was paying attention to the NCAA tournament because Northwestern was playing in it, had the take that if UConn, University of Connecticut, was playing in the NBA's Eastern Conference, they would make the playoffs.
Wow. Oh, my God. Get him out of here. You should be – some of this stuff should be – you got to be accountable for some of these takes, brother. It's like you be saying this stuff into microphones in front of millions, the whole world. You can't get away with some of this stuff.
Right. Victor Wembanyama has 15 wins. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's across all sports. I remember back when Alabama was the big thing in college football, we'd be like, Alabama could beat the Cleveland Browns. Are you kidding me?
I don't know what happened to your microphone, but the Pistons and the Wizards would trounce UConn routinely, often, almost every time.
Jordan Poole would have 75 points. Absolutely. Jordan Poole would light them up.
Right, and I don't even think that the UConn girls would put themselves in that position. Like, you shouldn't speak for these women. Like, don't say stuff like this into a microphone, Mr. Professional Journalist.
Is that done? You guys are done dragging poor Greeny?
It was just an awful take because Northwestern got dominated by UConn, so clearly this team should make the NBA playoffs.
I think the playoffs is wild. That's wild.
How many games does UConn win? Put a number on it. I mean, how many games? If UConn plays an entire NBA
like 12?
season, no, they wouldn't win 12 games.
They would win 0 games. It's neither here nor there.
They'd win like 2 because there'd be just a night where nobody played and everybody.
Depends if they're playing the Raptors and someone has the under.
Right.
Exactly. Jontay is on the court.
Jontay.
But the point spread would be what, 15, 17 points, right?
I don't think your microphone works in any way.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm leaning into a microphone.
Put it right up to your mouth.
Okay, I don't
Put
know.
it right up to your mouth.
Closer.
Greg, for a month now, we've been telling you the microphone's in the wrong place.
My
You're not putting
microphone
it
is
in.
right here.
Wow, look how much better it sounds. It's
Okay,
crazy.
I've been screaming into a mic here.
Greg, for a month.
Ramshackle operation.
Mike
here.
is screaming
Get
at
better mics. Christ almighty. Other than Mike Ryan, you got no working mics in here.
And Fuentes outside, too.
Nice.
I mean, well, not counting Mike. I meant in the room. I meant in the immediate room.
That kind of thing.
Exactly. Thank you. That kind of thing.
You should talk to
Gotta
your
say it a
wife.
little quicker. That kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
Exactly. Thank you. Quick
Come on,
learner.
amateur.
Juju, quick learner.
But he should not be allowed to say things like this. Honestly, like he's a good host and stuff, and he has passionate
He
takes
shouldn't
about
be
the Jets,
allowed.
but
You're
no, he
taking
shouldn't
away
be.
his freedom of
He should go to
speech.
jail.
Yeah, I mean, at least an hour.
That's a
or
dumb
something.
one.
You think he should be suspended?
Someone that man has made a lot of money in his career, and that's just a very dumb thing to say.
I want to follow Juju's thread. He should go to jail for an hour.
Yeah, at least, bro.
Like actual jail for 1 hour.
What kind of jail are we talking about here? Because I would greenlit.
I mean,
Greenlit.
No pun intended.
We know it's white collar. Like, we know there's tennis courts.
Now,
there.
I don't know anything. Now, this is just my opinion, but the sauna in here is not quite hot enough.
I want him walking down the corridor holding his sheets, please.
It's a literal island. I didn't know it was a real island.
Just to be clear, you guys think that Mike Greenberg, and I'm here for this, and in fact, you know what? I'm going to call for it publicly. I would pay a great amount of money for us to imprison Mike Greenberg for 1 hour,
1 hour.
for that take. I would pay. I would pay $500,000 to imprison.
You know what? How about you do this? You give me the money. I'll go figure out what the schematics
Frame
are on
him
that.
for murder.
Right, and then we'll get back to you. I'll let you know.
It can't be murder. He's only got to go to prison for 1 hour.
One liquid hour.
He knows better than anybody that he would be a vending machine for sex in prison for an hour.
Oh, yeah.
He knows better than
number one,
anybody.
who amongst us?
Than anybody. No, who amongst us? Fair enough,
Yeah.
but him more than most.
mean,
He
hold on,
does
what do
appear
we
to be a mark.
Him more than most.
In an hour?
In an hour.
What if in an hour he comes out as like the man in prison?
Yeah.
Hair
Just
braid-
running it.
Tattoos.
Takes out the
got a
biggest
razor
guy
blade
in
in
the
his
yard.
mouth.
Takes out the Golic of the yard.
He's just running the joint.
Right. like Carlton when he spent the afternoon at MacArthur Park.
He's got guards bringing him phones.
Like Will Ferrell when he had the razor blade on his cheek.
They open the cell for him. He just closes the door back. Like, nope.
He would tell us that himself. If we were interviewing him right now, he would say, I would do very poorly in jail.
I think he'd be institutionalized real quick. Like Billy said, I can't leave. This is my life now. I don't even remember what the outside.
I think he shows up and he picks a fight with the biggest, meanest, toughest dude in the yard.
He turns into a Muslim in jail.
Got a
See,
kufi
what
on.
happened was, brothers, it was a conspiracy. Aaron Rodgers hurt his Achilles.
It is a pretty hot take. Why is he doing that? Is he just does he believe
Because
that?
Northwestern lost to UConn.
Can't be because
that
he
is why
believes
he's
that.
doing it.
He's covered sports for too long for him to believe. I mean, I don't even know what he's doing. Is he being gratuitously? He's been covering sports for a long time.
I genuinely think he believes this because he followed Northwestern for 2 games.
Dan-
and he saw UConn look very good.
You know how it is. You get caught up in the air when you're on the mic. You say something you regret. You got to keep going with it. It is what it is. It happens to the best of us.
Is he trying to get his daughter or one of his daughter's cousins into UConn maybe with a nice take?
I want to get to March Sadness, but the Celtics last night lost in the only way that you can lose for us to have any questions about the Celtics in the playoffs.
To an Atlanta Hawks team that I don't think many people would find to be daunting or even capable of a 30-point comeback against anybody, let alone the best
But
team
it's a
in the league.
regular season game. Who
Yep.
cares? Why does it matter? It only matters one team in the league. Like, honest to God, that game only matters because of the questions we're asking about that team.
Yeah, if that happened to the Nuggets, we wouldn't say anything. If it happened to
Anybody
the
else.
Thunder, we wouldn't say
Anybody
anything.
else.
For them, and this is where I go back to what I said last time I was on the show, which is, Joe Mazzulla, you can do all this cute contesting people's jump shots and all that when you're winning. The moment you're not, all of that, we start saying, well, I don't know if I can trust what I'm seeing. And that's the problem. But ultimately, they know that they aren't going to answer those questions in March or early April. Those answers come once the playoffs start.
Billy, we're going to get to March Sadness in a second, but they
If
said
we
they
do, we
found
do.
me. They said they found for me Amin's commercial for his. I don't know if you saw everything that happened here, Greg, but Amin had a very embarrassing viral moment on the internet, and he really owned it and turned it around in his favor.
And I'm helping people.
With this bit of content. He also got a law degree in the last couple of weeks.
Every year, thousands of lowlights are taken out of context and disseminated across social media. It's called viral decontextualization, and it afflicts thousands of former NBA players and weekend warriors alike. Hi, I'm Amin Al-Hassan, and I was once a victim of viral decontextualization. Let me help you fight back. If you or a loved one have suffered a viral video of a basketball play that is not representative of your playing ability, contact the law offices of Amin Al-Hassan right now.
If you've suffered from a viral video of a basketball play that is not representative of your playing ability, call the law offices of Amin Al-Hassan right now. He is 100% a real lawyer.
Don't let viral decontextualization ruin your life. Call Amin and get your reputation clean. Watch this. Pass me the rock.
Hey, ain't you that guy from the internet?
Yeah, but I'm not who my video said I am. No.
Please don't wait. Stop viral decontextualization. Call 1-800-ODDBALL or visit www.townhorrendous.com and have Amin fight for you. Amin, what are you making me read?
There are 1,000 things I like about that
That's great.
as video, never
Really
mind
good.
audio. But Charlotte stole it from Amin with the way that she said lawyer and what she did at the end. Because Amin tried to steal that video. And the video is great, Amin. What they did on the video side, really funny. That felt like a real commercial.
Yeah, the tinkling piano was a maestro touch.
The thief of joy. The
Yeah,
thief
it's
of
a
joy is comparison, Dan. Everybody in that
Attaboy.
commercial involved. Bravo. And to my brother, 2 words: ass off. Bravo, brother.
Wow, that's the first time Juju's ever given me that award.
Really?
He always says I'm ass on anytime I'm doing any of these things.
First time? How many times have you failed to get
Thousands.
Thousands.
That's the first one?
The first ass off I've ever
You
gotten.
can't give them away.
What's your favorite part? You turning around to the camera at the beginning, like for no good reason?
Shout out to Antonio, man. That was his idea. He told me to just turn this way and then turn back from this.
You're welcome.
I really can't shake Muslim Greenie. As soon as it was mentioned with the glasses and all that.
Bean pie, my brother. I I like the idea.
I didn't talk to anybody, and I don't know anything.
Muslim greenie in prison is what we've done.
And all this happens inside of 14 minutes.
Damian Woody landed on us.
Billy's going to help update the tournament, people who lost over the weekend, our tournament, March Sadness. But, Amin, I wanted to get your thoughts on Diddy here because knowing this region a little bit, Diddy's life was here. Star Island is as valuable a piece of land as there is. To have it raided in South Florida, to have his sons arrested, and then to have video at Opelika Airport. Okay, it's the private airport. We don't have a ton of private airports here, but to have video of him pacing around in what looked like, no matter what was going on in his life, what we were imagining to be going on with his life is he knows the feds are closing in, and he's got to make a decision about whether he wants to Russell Simmons this or not. Go to Bali, escape your crimes because your freedom's about to end. I mean, this video felt to me O.J. Simpson reminiscent on how did TMZ get this video, and maybe he's just wandering around waiting for somebody, but we were all thinking, is this person about to be a fugitive because he needs to get away from his alleged crimes? What were your thoughts as all of this was happening?
It's very similar to my thoughts about when the Donald Sterling thing happened a decade ago, which was, I thought we already knew all this. Like, I'm consistently surprised by how much stuff that is out in the open that people don't seem to know about, whether they weren't old enough when a lot of that stuff was happening or just haven't done any cursory reading or research about it. And so a lot of the allegations about Diddy, this is stuff that's been around for decades, to be honest with you. And now, did I ever think there would be a day where, like the movies, a federal raid in different locations, you know? No, I didn't think that. I guess my second thought when seeing all that and realizing what was happening was missed opportunity by Diddy to sit back and say, what took you so long? Which is my move, of course. If the feds ever come raid me, I'm famously said.
Not the kind of thing that you want to cop to, like right off the bat, probably.
No, he said, what took you so long? It doesn't. That's not an admission to anything. It's just
sort of.
Yeah. Doesn't hold up in court. Remember, I'm a lawyer now.
Okay.
Law office
that's
of Amin
true.
Al-Hassan.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, again, into the microphone, Greg.
Okay, sorry.
But Dan, like,
you have it tilted up.
I mean,
Tilt it in front of your mouth.
There should be microphone
Just
technology.
put the microphone in front.
There should be microphone technology where when I lean back in my chair, the microphone leans back with me.
My brother, my dude. I idolize you reading your articles. Like, all the technology is there. It's a swivel. Just swivel it up to your mouth.
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me now?
You have made Billy's job very difficult. Billy's had a tough day just because there's a lot happening, and your inability to speak just directly in the microphone, which is broadcasting 101, made Billy spend the entire last segment trying to adjust
have
your
it
levels.
below your mouth like you're Tony Orlando.
Hey,
what am I doing right now?
Back off of Greg Cody right now. Let my boy get his
Thank
microphone
you.
straight and let his takes come like they always come.
My microphone could not be closer to my mouth right now.
It literally could be. You tilt it the other way. You're speaking over it. This is what you're doing. You're speaking over it.
Like
Speak
this?
into it.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Leaning into it, and the mic too.
Hello.
No, this is good. Let's go.
No Diddy.
I mean, you were saying.
Dan, let me ask you, did any of these allegations come as a huge surprise to you?
I wouldn't say surprise, but I would say whenever it is that I see the flames climb to the top of power where money is, whether it's this or Vince McMahon, I'm always surprised that the flames can go and topple the power. Because look at what's happening presently with Donald Trump, who I'm not sure actually has money. I don't know how some of these people sleep at night when they arrive at such power that their deviance is illegal and they think they can get away with it because of it's just partying, or the extremes become so normal that you don't think the authorities are going to come and criminalize your behavior because you think whatever you're accused of is okay because you've arrived at such mogul status that you could be what Chappelle is making fun of 20 years ago with I want Cambodian breast milk, the purest kind, because everyone knows and is whispering this about how strange Diddy is.
It's okay. They think it's okay because it has been okay, Dan. It has been okay.
It was okay in R. Kelly's neighborhood, and everyone protected the power of R. Kelly. I just didn't think that that we would climb up and have this the consequences of this, where I'm watching O.J. Simpson again. I'm watching a black icon tumble in a way from he will never recover from. Because whatever it is was being whispered about, whether it was domestic abuse with O.J. or this, is actually all true and worse, probably, allegedly.
The crazy thing to me about that video is you're seeing real time consequence hit that guy. It's not that consequences happen. It's that we rarely get to see it. You see it real time. That's not a guy pacing because, like, did I leave the oven on? Oh, no. I think I turned it off. That's not what's happening there.
That footage stunned me because it looked like exactly what it was. This guy is concerned that he's trying to make a choice between, am I going to have some freedom for the rest of my life, or am I going to choose to live away from everyone I've ever loved in another country like Bali or some place where they can't criminally prosecute me because I'm Russell Simmons?
I think you've gone a step too far in the evolution of the thought. I think the thought right here is like, what the hell is happening? I don't think he's yet okay, I got to go. What am I doing? Is Justin and King Combs, are they on? No, he's not doing that. He's like, me?
But he's at a private airport.
I know, but Dan, he's not rushing to the terminal. He's
thinking like, damn, they got my sons locked up now. They actually raiding my house.
They're actually raiding my houses. Yeah. They're actually arresting people. This is actually happening to me? Like that this is Alonzo at the end of training day. Like, what, you want to do this to me? That's what he's doing right there in his head.
I'll have you guys playing basketball in Pelican Bay.
Shoe program, N-word.
23-hour lockdown.
Up until that last line, I still thought we were doing Greenie.
Let's go ahead and do the March Sadness tournament, Billy. I want to update everybody.
Well, Dan, it's time for the Greg Cody region with Greg Cody.
All right, he's here. Let's go.
And so we're going to update everyone on wins and losses. Who's gone? Who's staying?
No, we're still by our first round.
All right.
Yeah, we still have some catching up to do here. By the way, March Sadness is presented by Get Your Guide. Discover over 100,000 unforgettable travel experiences in the U.S. and around the world at GetYourGuide.com.
Is this your favorite region? Is this your favorite? You personally?
I don't play favorites. I'm just like on the committee, and I, do what's fair and just.
Good dad behavior.
It's my favorite.
All right, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's gone?
All right, so no one's gone yet because they're still by the first round. But number 6 is represented by. Now, let me give you a little bit of context here. Greg Cody was asked to do a Back in My Day. Now, sometimes you guys give him a little guff. Yeah. And this Greg Cody was refusing to do a Back in My Day.
Oh, are we doing this now? No, I'll get cut off at this point. It's too late. It's too late in the segment.
No.
I'm not going there.
We make concessions for the clock.
No, you're going to cut me off.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I am not.
I'm not doing it right
I
now.
don't do the cutting off.
I'm going to... You realize in a minute and 20 seconds, I will be like halfway through it. You'll cut me off.
No, I won't.
And everybody will laugh, and I will be genuinely pissed.
Greg, we can move the clocks around so that we can finish this up, and then we'll go a shorter segment on the next one.
That's what you say now, and I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
When have I ever lied to you?
Many times when it comes to a cheap laugh on this show. No, I'm not going to.
Fair criticism.
I'm not going to have Back in My Day interrupted twice. I'm just not going to do it. That kind of thing, and you know it. Not going to do it, and you know it. That kind of thing.
We're just going to skip past.
What?
That is weird, wild stuff. I did not know that.
Badap. Eisner. Actually, no, it's Iger.
It's
updated. Weird. They went from Eisner to Iger. What a beautiful thing for me. Eisner.
And there was a Chapek era. But...
Iger.
Checks the clock.
It's not my show. I mean, is this the Greg Cody show all of a sudden? I'm not the one with the mic in his hand, and you know it.
Magnum condom?
Yeah, damn right.
This is the new and improved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
How is that a 6 seed?
That was a day of seeds. Lots of references.
I told you the seedings were terrible.
How is that? That was all of his catchphrases in one place.
Should have been a 1.
It's an overall 1 seed.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so that was a 6 seed. It's going up against a number 11 seed, and this is the origin of gotta wanna learn, gotta wanna earn.
Oh, yeah. Detroit's good. But you know, you gotta earn. You gotta be there.
How about the Browns?
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it does.
What does that mean as analysis?
Okay,
You've got
first
to earn. You got to be there. Like you petered out
all
there.
right,
You
listen to me.
look, you petered. I was listening.
All right,
to
You've
you.
been saying that my
And you
entire
said
life.
you
Gotta want to earn.
You got to earn.
Gotta want to learn.
You
Gotta want to earn.
He's right.
I've been saying that. Hey, you gotta want to learn. Gotta want to earn. Listen, Detroit made my OLA. I'm not OLI. I'm not disrespecting Detroit. I am disrespecting Cleveland.
11 seed is
That's an
getting
11 seed.
drug
Yeah.
in that bracket.
All right, so then, Dan, we move over to the 8th seed. This, for context, is Greg getting outraged one time when ESPN accidentally showed some boobs.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right. Unbelievable. It's crazy. But by the way, am I still on the air? Did you hear about ESPN had to apologize for, briefly showing a woman exposing her breasts on Bourbon Street after the bowl game? An official apology. What century is this? How much of a puritanical society are we when a network has to apologize for a little accident? What kid? Who's being harmed by this? What kids are up at that hour going, "Oh my God, my life is ruined because I've seen what I just saw"? You know what that's like? For a network having to apologize, that's like me not returning a shopping cart. I leave the shopping cart right in the parking lot next to a car, and people give me such a dirty look. It's a misdemeanor. It's less than a misdemeanor. There are so many things to worry about in the world. You're going to get on me for not returning a shopping cart? You're going to get on a network for accidentally showing a woman exposing her? I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. It's less than a misdemeanor. If you're going to be mad at me, if you're going to put me in jail, make it be for a felony, please. That kind of thing. Over and out. I'm breaking out of this jail. I swear to you.
Billy, I need
Where's
a
the
favor.
exit?
I need a small favor as our executive producer for the day. This category is one of the best that we have ever done. We have not celebrated it enough. We've got to get to all the games. I've got a flight to catch.
Okay, well, you're excused. We'll just continue. Here's the number 9 seed.
Update
Greg,
the whole thing.
Yeah, Greg with one of his newer catchphrases.
Dancing Swords, Dan?
I'm Greg, bitch. Oh, God.
Elton John?
Make him look like a star.
All right. That was that.
That's all we got?
No, that was 9. No, here's the number 1
Yeah.
seed. Greg, do you have any guesses as to what you think the number 1 seed would be?
I don't. I really don't.
Well, here's the number 1 seed, and it came from our trip to Las Vegas this past couple months, whatever it was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Here's wild.
Who does the seating? Drink it up. This one's for you.
All right, you get the point.
I do get the point.
Yeah, it's the number 1 seed, yeah.
That was the number 1 seed?
Yeah, that's the number 1 seed.
Who
It's
does
really
the
one of
seating?
those-
I'm just curious.
Those legacy things, you know what I mean? Like Greg liked it, so
Yeah.
I
got
feel
some
like
preferential
you
treatment
can
there.
give it a good seeding. You don't give it 1 over that other one. That other one.
2's a good seed. 3's a good seed.
Well, that's the good thing is that this is all fan voting, so you can kind of easily vote this out against a number 16 seed, and this actually won the play-in. So you got to preview this earlier, but here's
Won
a
the
16
play-in.
seed, yeah.
I slept in too late.
Well, I took the dog outside.
God. Now I will be raised.
Your laziness I will chide.
A little heads up. Trying to
Just
sing
look it
is
up for
hilarious.
yourself.
Would have been nice.
Why is technology your vice?
It's cold enough for snow flurries.
Greg, you could Google it in a
I
hurry.
can feel the chill
So
rush
2
through
songs going up against each other.
All right.
Then we head over Greg. Greg, do you have any favorites so far of what you've heard, or you don't really care about this?
I like the one where I was in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of like that.
You,
Yeah.
and, you and Greeny.
That's right.
Well,
Styles P.
here's a number 2 seed that's going to go up against the number 15 seed. Here's Greg kind of going through his wallet and revealing some things that he found.
What do I got here? I got a Magnum condom.
Look at that
We won't
hair.
get that out.
That's shocking.
Here's a picture of Christopher when he was like 3 years old.
Right next to the condom.
Yeah.
It's a reminder.
As a subtle reminder.
Never forget. That's the 2 seed, Greg's Magnum Condom. This is going up against the number 15 seed. And this one needs context. So, in another region we have, this is a club region, Stephen A. went on a rant about Jason Whitlock where he was calling him all kinds of not nice names. This Dan was supposed to see because he hasn't seen this. I don't think this is aired anywhere. This is a number 15 seed where Greg was parroting that, and he was taking shots at Dan.
I'm talking about that fat piece of shit, Le Batard. You all came here for one reason, and I'm about to deliver. Because I'm talking about a fat piece of shit, Le Batard. But I know why you all came, and it's why I'm here. I'm going to talk about a piece of shit, Le Batard. I'm going to talk about a fat piece of shit, Le Batard. I said it wrong again. Fat
Who gave
piece
you
of shit,
that?
and then how does it end?
The Greg Cody Show starts right now.
Okay. But I know why you all are here, and it's why I'm here. I'm going to talk about a fat piece of shit, Le Batard. The Greg Cody Show podcast starts now. You know it's sincere when it takes you 7 takes to get it funnier. Trust me.
That was beautiful.
That's a 15 seed.
I had never seen that before. That was great. Ass off.
Christopher must
Ass
have
off.
given you that.
Yeah, if you want to vote, you can go on and vote for that. Here's a number 5 seed. This is
the 5-12.
This is the classic 5-12.
Oh God!
Prime for upsets, by the way. 5-12.
This 5, I think, is particularly strong. This is Greg getting mad at a video of Jonathan Zaslow.
Can't trade Marino.
Nice hat. Nice hat, Zaslow.
It's what he's most known for. It's not like I'm holding on to it.
Do you remember what Scott Mitchell looked like in that next game after Marino
They
got
were
hurt?
9-2. They were 9-2.
Amazing.
And then they lost their last 5 and missed the playoffs.
Nice
They
hat.
were 9-2. But it's Marino.
Nice
And then the
hat.
next time we saw Marino, after Greg Cody traded him, he threw for 5 touchdowns.
Nice
and he was
hat.
Dan the Man on the cover of
Tackling
Sports
him.
Illustrated. You can't trade Marino.
Nice hat, asshole.
How is this a 5 seed?
Dog, who
This is a
seeded
2
these?
seed at least.
That 5 is going up against number 12, Greg, and the Turkoff.
The bird is ready.
Ooh, you can hear it.
Oh, yes.
Yes, put the microphone close.
What a
to them.
great sound.
Nice and slow, Greg.
Ooh.
Can't believe Billy's this close to this. That's the biggest upset here.
The bird has dropped.
This stand, to paint a picture, is styrofoam. It's foam here that's very flammable right next to this bird.
Yeah, we don't worry about that.
Update us on where it is that we are, sir. How close are you to done?
We're about to have liftoff.
It's touching the turkey now.
Guys, lift off.
Why are you using the mitt on the microphone?
Your mitt is on the wrong hand, Greg.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
You'll
It's
find out
exactly
why.
where it should be, Dan.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that
I'm
bird.
draining right now.
Is anyone helping you?
Draining it.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful
Yep.
brown and orange
is.
hue. Incredible. A festive bird.
Where are you going to put it? Are you going to
Just
drop
gonna
it?
carry it?
Just put it on the floor.
Oh no! Okay.
He's got a pan.
Him alive. That
Look
is
at,
correct.
there's a lot of oil stains on that backsplash, which is also a concrete.
Dan needs to be blindfolded when tasting these so he doesn't have any bias whatsoever.
Taste that Turkoff.
Kugler is quite the deadpan artist. The next word out of your mouth is the winner. You say one name and only one name.
Seems easy.
I'm going to have to give it to Roy.
Wow, upset.
Your shame, Greg. That's one hell of a game. 5-12?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right, so now we have the 7-10 seed, and this is going to kind of close out the Greg Cody bracket, and your fan votings will decide who moves on. This is Greg during our Dolphins and Bills watch-along, and he was up against the deadline, and we decided it was a good time, as the game was falling apart, to go to Greg.
Wake him up.
Uh-oh. He doesn't want to be bothered anymore. Now it's getting tense because he didn't need that as a result. He needs something that happens.
You can see him mother effing.
No, he's pissed.
Can we bother?
Yes.
Are we bothering you right now?
Turn on your microphone, Greg.
My microphone's on.
Okay.
When my microphone is on, you guys have to come to me. I mean, don't tell me to turn my...
right,
you told me to leave my microphone on. I did. So don't tell me turn your microphone on when it's on.
Paint the scene.
The paint the scene is I got to go to work. Good night.
He's going to be pissed. He's going to drive home pissed. He's going to be mad at us.
It does seem like he's actually working right now.
No, of course he's working, and he's rabidly angry at us.
This tournament is a masterpiece.
That's a 7, and it's going up against a 10. And this, Greg, I feel like you might think that this is a very low seed. This is Greg performing Viva Greg Cody at the Circa in Las Vegas.
Bright light city, gonna set my soul on fire. Sin City banging like my Hall of Fame vote, so let's get those stakes up higher. Viva Greg Cody, Viva Greg Cody, Viva Greg Cody, Viva Greg Cody, Viva, Viva Greg Cody.
I just love imagining all the people who are like, honey, let's go to the Circa. Let's go to the Circa for Super Bowl. It should be fun. And they go, let's go. I heard the pool's heated. They go out to the pool. You see some dude singing Viva Greg Cody.
Greg Cody himself.
Damn right.
Just some dude.
Let's go.
And you know it.
And you know it. Bro, when you told Jonathan Zaslow that his nice hat asshole, I
The
really
greatest
forgot
thing
how
ever.
funny that shit was, bro. His hat was terrible as well.
Backward hat. Guy's 45 years old.